Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Deku became the Phoenix Hero Part 1. If you guys enjoy this what if and want to see Part 2, comment down below and let me know before I start. Please do support for more awesome content and leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also share this video with your friends and check out the description in my playlist. The author of the story, NezutheRatGod from Wattpad. So let's start the video. It's a nice, peaceful and quiet day in Japan where everyone was going about their business. We see in a nice-looking house on the outskirts of Tokyo a little boy about 4 years old with black and green hair running up to his grandma. "Grandma, guess what day is?" yelled the little boy running up to his grandma with a big smile. "I'm not sure, Izuku, what day is it?" said the older woman, revealing herself to be Nana Shimura. "Today is the day we see Granny Chio and find out what my quirk is," yelled Izuku, who was bouncing up and down, making Nana giggle at how he's acting. "Really? Well, I guess today is a special day, and after we find out what it is, I'll make you katsudon. How does that sound?" said Nana, kneeling down in front of Izuku. "Yay!" cheered Izuku, who then hugged Nana. "I love you, Grandma." Nana smiled and pulled Izuku into a hug. "And I love you as well, Izuku. Always have, always will," said Nana. "Oh, Grandma, afterwards can I go and see 𝗂𝗵𝗃 asked Izuku, hoping his grandma will say yes. "I'll have to call Mitsuki and the others to see if you can, but first let's get some breakfast and you dress so we can head to UA to see Recovery Girl," said Nana, standing up and heading to the kitchen to make breakfast for both of them. Izuku and Nana arrived at UA gates, where Nana pulled out her pass and scanned it on the door so they can go inside. As they were walking, Izuku saw a big golden statue of his grandma in her hero costume, with her body somehow on a massive ball of water floating above the platform and her cape flowing as if it was caught in a breeze. She had her hands sticking out as if asking people to reach out and take it, and under it had a plaque that said, "Wow, Grandma, that's so cool. You have a statue that shows what an amazing hero you are," said Izuku, looking up at his grandma with stars in his eyes. "Grandma, how did you get to do that? Not many heroes have ever gotten statues of themselves." Nana looked at her statue with a faraway look, as if remembering something. "I helped hold society up during a very time when it seemed like the pillars of society would collapse. I showed up and helped hold it up until your big brother came and became the symbol of peace, and now he holds society up and protects it," said Nana, smiling. "That's why I was named the Pillar of Strength, and All Might is named the Pillar of Peace, cause we held or hold up society." "Wow, so does that mean one day I can too?" asked Izuku, looking up at Nana. "If you are willing to push yourself beyond your limits, then yes. It's like what me and Toshi always say, anyone can be a hero, but to be a pillar, you must have strength, power, courage, and hope so you can help the world when it needs you the most," said Nana, heading down the hall towards Recovery Girl's office. "And here we are. Granny Chio should be ready to see you." Izuku looked up, surprised that they were there already, not realizing that he was so engrossed in his conversation that he never noticed they left and were walking in. "Granny Chio," said Izuku while running into the room and hugging her. "Oh my Izuku, look at how big you are. One day you might be as tall as All Might," said Recovery Girl, smiling and pulling Izuku into the hug. "So, is today the day we find out what your quirk is?" "I hope it's powerful so I can be a great hero like Grandma and Big Brother Toshi," said Izuku, bouncing up and down in excitement. Recovery Girl just smiled and gestured Izuku into the room where they will see what kind of quirk he has. After a X-ray and a BLD test, both Izuku and Nana are sitting in her office waiting for Recovery Girl to come back with the results. "Grandma, what if I don't get a quirk? Can I still be a hero?" said Izuku, looking down in sadness while remembering that back at school he's the only kid yet to get a quirk, and 𝗂𝗵𝗃 and Toga were the only ones who believe that he will. Nana didn't respond immediately. Instead, she reached over and pulled Izuku into her lap and hugged him. "It doesn't matter if you have one or not, I know that you will be a great hero regardless. And I know that your mom is up there cheering you on," said Nana, pulling Izuku into a tighter hug and trying to push the memories away of her dead daughter Inko, who sadly died after giving 𝗵𝗲𝗿𝗺 to Izuku. Ever since then, Nana raised Izuku as her own kid, and Toshi became the big brother figure for him as he grew up. They were knocked out of their musings when Recovery Girl walked in looking shocked, and along with her was Nezu, who also looked shocked. "Well, I can safely say Izuku here has a quirk, and a truly powerful one at that," said Recovery Girl, walking over to her chair and sitting in it. "Do you know what it is?" asked Nana, looking slightly concerned at both her and Nezu's expression. That's the thing, we don't know what it is. All I can tell you is that it's powerful, almost rivaling All Might's quirk, said Recovery Girl, looking over her chart before she looked back at Nana. The other thing that I can tell is that it seems to be alive. Both Izuku and Nana went wide-eyed from hearing that. So does that mean I can be a hero? Asked Izuku, looking at Recovery Girl hopefully, which she just smiled at. Yes, Izuku, you can be a hero, but both me and Nezu agreed that you should be very careful because we don't know what your quirk is or what it's capable of other than it's terrifyingly powerful. For that reason right there, Nezu called up an old student who graduated not too long ago to help watch over you in case something goes wrong when your quirk activates, said Recovery Girl. Oh, and who would that be? Asked Nana curiously while looking at Nezu in suspicion. He's an underground hero that goes by Eraserhead, but his name is Shota Aizawa, and he'll be able to help Izuku in case something happens with his quirk. Because Aizawa's quirk allows him to cancel any quirk, said Nezu, making Nana sigh but nod her head. I understand and thank you, but how long till you think it'll be till he gets his quirk? Asked Nana, so she has an idea when to prepare. From what I read on his charts, it should be any time from now till a week from now. So I'd suggest keeping a close eye on him, said Recovery Girl, putting her clipboard down. Oh, right before I forget, it might be a good idea to keep him out of school till then because we don't want a dangerous accident to happen. Here, I'll write a note for the teachers so they are aware. Thank you, Recovery Girl, I appreciate it. Oh, also Nezu, when should I be seeing this Aizawa? Asked Nana, standing up and putting Izuku down, who ran to Recovery Girl and have her a hug. He's currently on a mission, but he said he'd drop by your house when he's done, said Nezu, who then got hugged by Izuku, which he happily returned. Sigh. Alright, we'll give him my contact information and tell him to call or text me before he heads over because Izuku wants to see his friends first, said Nana as she started to walk to the door holding Izuku's hand. Of course I'll let him know right away, said Nezu, smiling. Bye Uncle Nezu, bye Granny Chiyo, said Izuku, waving and walking out with Nana. After Nana and Izuku left you, Nana called Mitsuki, 𝗂𝗑𝗄𝗄 mom, and 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗄𝗄's mom. They all said they'd be able to hang and that they should all meet at the park over by them. After a 30-minute drive, Izuku and Nana arrived at the park, and after they left the car, Izuku ran off to the swings. Nana just smiled and went to the bench she always sits at to either talk to the others or read a book. When she walked to the bench, she saw Mitsuki and 𝗂𝗑𝗄𝗄 sitting there waving at her. 𝗂𝗑𝗄𝗄 was a 5'6" woman with amber eyes and long pink hair like her daughter. She usually wore jumpsuits much like her husband and Mei did. Izuku ran to the swings and saw Kaken and Mei down there arguing as usual. So what if you can make firecrackers out of your hand? You'll still need support gear one day, yelled Mei, jamming her forehead at Katsuki. And oh, I don't, my quirk will be so powerful I won't need any support gear, yelled Katsuki, who jammed his head back at her. With lighting going in between them before they ended up in a tussle which ended with Mei sitting on his back with him flaying around like a upside-down turtle. Kaken, Mei, yelled Izuku, running up to the two, smiling and waving before he stopped in front of them. Mei smiled and, accidentally, stepped on Katsuki's head, shoving it into the ground as she ran over and hugged Izuku. Izuku, it's good to see you. Did you get your quirk yet? Asked Mei, still hugging Izuku. Yeah, Deku, did you finally get it? Asked Katsuki, standing up and wiping the dirt off him. Katsuki calls him Deku as a nickname instead of an insult. Granny Chiyo told me my quirk should come any time from today to next week. She also said it's gonna be really, really strong, said Izuku, smiling, which made Katsuki smirk. Hell yeah, now we can prove those extras wrong, yelled Katsuki with a feral grin forming on his face. Yeah? Yelled Izuku and Mei before they ran off to the slides to play, and after about 30 minutes Toga and her mom show up, and when Toga sees her friends she smiles and runs off to play with them. 𝗂𝗵𝗃 smiled at seeing her daughter so happy. She was worried when her friends found out about her quirk that they'd not want to be friends with her, but luckily they didn't care. 𝗂𝗵𝗃 was a 5'8" woman with a short 𝗳𝗵𝗃-style haircut similar to her daughter's, but the major difference between them is that she has a pair of cat ears and a tail which are blonde like her hair. She has bright yellow eyes much like a cat as well. She walked over to the bench and saw Nana, Mitsuki, and 𝗂𝗑𝗄𝗄 all talking and laughing before she joined them. Hey everyone, said 𝗂𝗵𝗃, sitting down at the only available spot left. Hey 𝗂𝗵𝗃, how are you doing? Asked Mitsuki, who scooched over a little bit to give her more room to sit. I'm doing good, how about the rest of you? Asked 𝗧𝗵𝗃, got good or doing fine as her response. Oh, Nana, wasn't today the day Izuku went and got his quirk checked out? And it came back positive that he has one, and a powerful one at that, said Nana while looking back at the kids who were all smiling and playing together. Oh, and what is it? Asked Okubo curiously. That's the thing, we aren't sure, all we know that it is powerful and Chio said it can rival All Mights one day, said Nana, getting looks of shock from the others. Back with the kids. And I claim this slide 𝗵𝘃𝗲𝗄, said Katsuki, laughing before he got kicked off it by Mei, who was laughing and pointing at him. Katsuki stood up and started yelling at her, which made her start yelling back, and while that was happening both Izuku and Toga were watching in amusement. They really act like brother and sister, don't they? Said Izuku, watching as they got in another tussle, which ended with Mei sitting on Katsuki's back again with him cussing and screaming like a drunk sailor. How long do you think it will take before Katsuki admits that Mei is his sister in all but BLD? Asked Toga curiously, since they both act like brother and sister and Mei has called him brother before. I'd say till we are in middle school, said Izuku, watching Mei rubbing in that she beat him again and with him yelling even more that he just went easy. Eventually the day passed by and it was around 1 and the kids just finished eating lunch and now were playing by the jungle gym, completely unaware that off across the street some maniac was watching them. Look at that green hair. The game is still going, said a man wearing a cloak that raised his fist and his muscle fibers became exposed as he had a sickening grin on his face. Kaken, let's see who can climb up the jungle gym the fastest, said Izuku, which got a nod from Katsuki, and they started to climb the jungle gym as fast as they could, which ended up in a tie. Damn it, just you wait, Deku, I'll beat you next time, said Katsuki, climbing down along with Izuku. Whatever you say, best buddy, said Izuku, smiling and scratching the back of his head. Stop calling me that, yelled Katsuki with explosions in his hands. Before the kids could say anything else, they all got a really evil feeling and turned and saw a figure who was easily over 6 foot and had a black cloak. You with the green hair, you get to be my next kill, said the figure with a bloodthirsty grin on his face, and then lifted his arm up to try and kill Izuku, but luckily he jumped back and barely missed it. Himiko, Mei, go and get Aunt Nana now, screamed Katsuki, who tried to release an explosion at him, but sadly since he was 4 years old it barely burned his. Sorry kid, you're not my target, maybe next time you will be, said the figure before he swiped Katsuki away, who smacked into a true and coughed out BLD before he started falling unconscious. No. Run, said Katsuki before he fell to the ground and unconscious. Now on to you, said the figure, who then turned back to Izuku and pulled his arm back and punched right through Izuku's. The last thing Izuku heard was his grandma screaming before the sound of water was blasted and hit the man, blowing him back. Back with Nana, 𝗧𝗵𝗃, and Okubo a minute ago. I know, right, and dashed. Nana was cut off when he heard screaming and saw Toga and Mei running to them and crying. Mei, Toga, what's wrong? So some big scary man is attacking Izuku and Katsuki and 𝗧𝗵𝗃, said Toga, but before she could finish her sentence Nana was running towards where Izuku and Katsuki were. Mitsuki, call Toshi and the heroes now, yelled Nana before she disappeared. Nana was running as fast as she could, and when she got there she saw the man Toga said attacked them impale his arm through Izuku's. Screamed Nana before she pulled a massive ball of water out of thin air and shot it at the man, blowing him back. Izuku, it's okay, I'm here now and Toshi is on his way, she said while holding onto Izuku's hand. Gee, Grandma, it hurts, said Izuku while coughing up BLD. It's so old. It's okay, sweetie, Chio can heal you, said Nana with tears streaming down her face. I'm so tired, said Izuku with the light in his eyes slowly fading. You tell everyone. I'm sorry. With that the light in his eyes faded and Izuku's body went limp. No, Izuku. Izuku, please don't leave me, screamed Nana as she pulled his body to her and was sobbing into his head. Demon Beach, that actually kind of hurt, said the man, standing up and looking at the scene, and couldn't help but laugh. Well, seeing as my game is over I better get going, I deserve a reward for winning. With it he started walking away, but not before a wall of water slammed into him, blasting him through 2 trees. You besta, him going to kill you for what you did to my grandson, screamed Nana before she gathered all her water and made it into a dragon and shot it at him, which blasted him further back. Haha, I guess I'm going to be having even more fun today, said the man, who then ripped off his cloak and covered his arms in muscle fibers and charged at Nana. Now show me your BLD. Nana made a ball of water under her feet and lifted herself off the ground and started shooting blasts of water at the man. The man lifted his arms up and blocked them. He then grabbed a log and threw it at Nana, who barely dodged and was then close-lined into the ground. What's wrong? I thought you were gonna kill me. Where's that talk now? Screamed the man as he went to try and crush Nana's head, but she moved it to the side and sent a water blast at the man, which ripped a bunch of muscle fibers on his arm. Wait a minute. I recognize you. You're Paragon, the pillar of strength. Today really is lucky day, said the man as he went and picked her up by the throat and was choking her. You have any last words? Nana's only response was to spit BLD in his eye, which he laughed off. Now what's that goey? Screamed the man as the BLD Nana spit she took control of and took his eye and left a nasty scar on his face. Huge, said Nana, which just got him to start laughing. I'll admit that was a good one. Now I'm gonna kill you, said the man as he started to choke the life out of Nana, who started clawing at his hand, which made him laugh harder. Before he could snap her neck, he heard a voice that made his BLD freeze in fear. California Smash, yelled All Might, who punched the man away and caught Nana. Sensei, are you alright? Asked All Might in worry. He was called here and told some man is attacking Izuku, and he raced all the way here as fast as he could. Where's Izuku? Nana let out a choked sob and pointed to Izuku. When All Might followed her finger, he saw Izuku laying there in his own BLD with massive hole in his 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗃, and Mitsuki was holding him and crying along with Mei, Toga, and their parents. All Might saw was red, and he felt one for all screaming at him to beat that monster within an inch of his life. Now he's here, I got he dashed. He was cut off again when All Might appeared and grabbed him by his foot and swung his body down and created a crater in the ground. Before he could even respond or react, All Might was on top of him, continuously punching him. Smash, 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 Texas, screamed All Might before he lifted both his arms high in the air and brought them down, holding nothing back. Smash. All Might kept punching the man into the ground before he picked him up and threw him in the air and grabbed a tree and hit him like a baseball with it. The man went flying through the park and ended up going through a store and out the other side of the building. He was heavily injured and felt that most of his bones were broken. Damn it, I gotta leave now, said the man, standing up, but froze and felt a murderous intent. You're not going anywhere, 𝗵𝘃𝗧𝗟, said All Might with rage in his voice. 𝗵𝘃𝗧𝗟 activated his quirk and tried to punch All Might, but he caught his hand and crushed it like an empty can of soda. All Might his fist back and screamed, Texas Smash. The punch launched 𝗵𝘃𝗧𝗟 across the street, and All Might appeared there and used another smash and launched him back. He appeared and grabbed him by his foot and swung him into the ground with so much force it shook the entire city from it. All Might stood over 𝗵𝘃𝗧𝗟 and simply said, If you ever so much as look at them, I won't hesitate to end you. 𝗵𝘃𝗧𝗟, said All Might before he lifted his leg up and brought it down on his face, knocking him out. All Might turned around and saw a couple of other heroes and some police officers showing up. Take care of him, I have to check on someone who's dying. After he said that, he jumped away and raced to the park as fast as he could. Izuku, please wake up, I can't lose you too, sobbed Nana on his 𝗧𝗵𝗃, hoping for a miracle to save her grandson. Everyone else was also there crying and hoping he'd be okay, all except for one boy. It's all my fault. If I was stronger or faster, he wouldn't be dead. It's my fault. Why couldn't I have been stronger to save him? Thought Katsuki as he slowly started to sob and fell to his knees and grabbed Izuku's hand. I'm sorry, Izuku, I'm so sorry. All Might arrived and slowly walked over to Izuku's body and knelt down and put his hand on his head. Izuku, I'm sorry, if only I was faster, said All Might with his head down. As everyone was mourning his death, Izuku was in a black void walking around aimlessly before he saw a small ball of light. He ran to the light for what felt like hours. Eventually he got there and looked at the fire sitting there. It felt so warm and comforting, Izuku couldn't help but sit next to it and relax. It wasn't long before he remembered what happened to him and then looked depressed. Oh, I bet everyone is worried about me. I hope they are okay, said Izuku while pulling his legs to his 𝗧𝗃 and wrapping his arms around them. Izuku sat there and looked into the fire for what felt like an eternity, and then he heard a flapping noise. When he turned to look at where the noise was coming from, he saw an appealing bird about the size of him landing in front of him. The bird had appealing red feathers all around its body, and at the ends of its wings and tail they faded orange then yellow. The bird radiated a warm, comforting feeling that made him feel safe. And, sorry, this is the best picture I could find. Hello, Izuku, spoke the bird, making Izuku go wide-eyed at that it can speak. Why? You can talk, said Izuku, looking shocked while pointing, which only made the bird laugh. Hee, yes, I can talk, and I've been waiting 4 years to meet you, Izuku, said the bird before it bowed lightly to him. I am your quirk Phoenix. Wait, Phoenix as in the legendary bird, said Izuku. Yes, I am a phoenix, and I was born the day you were born and have been slowly growing and gaining strength during that time and learning what our powers are, so when you finally meet me I can teach you everything, said the phoenix, shocking Izuku even more, but he ended up realizing something. Wait, then what's your name? Asked Izuku curiously. Well, I don't have a name, I'm simply known as Phoenix, said the phoenix, looking at Izuku, watching his reaction. Well, how about I give you one? Asked Izuku, making the phoenix look shocked and honored. You'd give me a name? Like an actual name, said the phoenix, looking extremely happy. If you're my quirk and you have a personality, then yeah, why wouldn't I give you one? So what would you want to be called? Said Izuku, smiling at the phoenix. I'd be fine with anything, I'd consider it an honor, said the phoenix. Izuku sat there and thought for a couple minutes before he snapped his fingers. How about Fox? The phoenix looked at Izuku and gave its version of a smile, which was slightly closing its eyes in a happy expression. I'd be honored to have that name, thank you, Izuku, said the now named Fox. So Fox, if you're my quirk, what can I do and how will this work? Asked Izuku curiously, trying to figure what he could do with his quirk now. Fox gave him another one of his smiles before he spoke. I'm your quirk, but I'm not actually it at the same time. I'm more like a piece of your soul that gave you powers, and the stuff we can do is amazing. When you use your quirk, you're not using me, you're using your quirk. I'm just more of the instructor that slowly gives you more and more control till you have complete control of it, said Fox, making Izuku nod his head before he continued. I have complete control of and all fire. I can manipulate it however I wish, by changing its temperature or what the flames can do. The other thing I can do is change its shape to whatever I want, but the more simple it is, the easier it is. Some of the other stuff I can do is heal wounds with my tears and flames of heaven. The flames of heaven are an extremely appealing white and gold flame that allows me to heal any and all wounds like my tears, but is more costly and takes a pure heart to even get them. Also, in a sense, we are both immortal. No matter what happens to us, we can heal our wounds, but if our bodies take too much damage, we turn to ash and are reborn. Lucky for you, you'll still be the same age and not have to go through your baby years again. When Fox said that, Izuku was wide-eyed at what he said, cause he sounded so overpowered. I can from your expression you're beyond amazed, but I'm still not done. The other thing I have is super strength, where as of right now you can easily lift 300 once you're 18, and if you didn't train you could lift about 6 tons. The last thing I can do is transform my form from a human to a phoenix, but that's more of something you will do, and I'll be in this form. After Fox said all that, Izuku just couldn't believe that his quirk is that powerful. It seemed so unfair but awesome at the same time. Wait, what about drawbacks? Asked Izuku, since Fox didn't tell him about any. The only real drawbacks are your body's own limits with strength. For the flames, because you have perfect control, you can never overheat. You can make flames that are freezing cold temperatures or make them as hot as the sun, and it will never overheat your body. Because your body is essentially me itself, giving you immunity to flames, said Fox, making Izuku start mumbling while thinking this all over. The only flames that can hurt you are the black flames of hell that I can also produce. Hopefully you never have to use them because they come at too great of a cost, thought Fox. Fox, how do I get out of here so I can see my family? Asked Izuku. You can return at any moment, but since your body was greatly damaged and since you just got your quirk, you will have to be reborn, which means your body will explode as flames and you will be a pile of ashes and you shall be reborn, said Fox, smiling at Izuku. So what do I have to do to go back? Asked Izuku. Simply stick your hand in the fire and you shall be reborn, but your appearance will have changed slightly, said Fox, making Izuku smile and nod and start walking to the fire, but he stopped right in front of it. Will I see you again? Asked Izuku, looking at Fox. Yes, Yes, you will see me again, and if you wish I can even join you in the real world," said Fox, which made Izuku smile and run up and hug him before he went back and touched the flames. All Might, Nana, Mei, Toga, Akame, Mitsuki, Okubo, and Katsuki were all mourning Izuku's death. But soon they were knocked out of their musings when Izuku's body exploded in flames. All Might had to hold Nana back so she wouldn't try anything, and what they saw next shocked them. The flames soon turned into a pile of ashes, and in those ashes it started moving and Izuku came out of them, but he looked different. Izuku's normal black and green hair turned red with yellow highlights. His right eye was now red and his left was yellow. Izuku rubbed his eyes and looked up and saw everyone standing there shocked. But before he could do anything, he was pulled in a bone-crushing hug from Nana. "Oh Izuku, I thought I lost you," yelled Nana, holding him desperately as if she were to let him go he'd disappear. It didn't take long, but everyone else joined and pulled him in a hug while crying. After about 10 minutes of hugging and crying, Nana looked at Izuku and simply asked, "How are you alive?" I saw you die." With that, Izuku explained everything to them about his quirk activating and Fox. It was safe to say how shocked they were on just how powerful it was. "I'm glad you're okay, Izuku," said All Might, walking over and pulling him into a hug again. Everyone nodded and hugged him again, happy that he was okay. On this day everything changed, for on this day the Phoenix was born, and it shall be the shining beacon of warmth and hope for a dark world. Izuku was currently sitting in the hospital getting checked on by Recovery Girl because of the attack and for his quirk being activated. His family and friends are all in the room watching Recovery Girl check on him, and they were all having idle chatter. Nezu was also in the room because he heard about how bad his injuries were, then somehow healed, so he was very curious on what happened. "Well, I can safely say that you are okay. I don't see any injuries or scars on your body, and not only that, but I checked your quirk and it's like a raging inferno in your body," said Recovery Girl, with everyone nodding. "I'm sorry Izuku, but could you please explain to me what happened when you..." asked Nezu uncomfortably. Izuku looked at Nezu for a little while before he nodded and proceeded to tell him about his quirk, but said his healing only affected him, for Fox told him what might happen if word got out how powerful his healing was. Flashback. Izuku was sitting in the ambulance and thinking of how happy Granny Chio will be when she hears how powerful his healing will be. But before he could think any further, he heard Fox's voice in his head. "Izuku, I'd highly recommend not telling anyone you're healing and telling them it can only heal yourself, and ask your family to also say the same. Also think what you want to say and I shall hear it," said Fox, making Izuku scrunch up his face. But why wouldn't it be a good thing to let her know and everyone just how powerful my healing is?" asked Izuku, confused why Fox would want him to lie and keep it a secret. "Yes, I agree it would do amazing things for this world, Izuku, but there is a problem with that," said Fox, looking down. "Human greed. It's a powerful evil all humans have, and some people seeing something like that would stop at nothing to acquire that power." Izuku looked down in sadness. "But we can't be that bad, Fox. I mean, look at Grandma and Big Bro Toshi, they aren't greedy, neither are my friends or family," said Izuku, not wanting to believe what Fox said. "That's why I said only some will succumb to that greed, and sadly for how greedy humankind has become, countries would probably declare war to get their hands on you," said Fox in sadness, for when he was growing he learned everything he can from the world through Izuku's eyes and was able to sense and feel the emotions of people because of his heaven and hell flames. They allow him to feel emotions even if not active, so he was more than aware how greedy humankind has become, and because of this he will protect Izuku no matter what. "So I can't tell anyone," said Izuku sadly, for he was hoping to be able to heal injured people as well as being a hero. "No. Not until you become an international hero, then you'd have free reign and no country could technically harbor you, so then you wouldn't have to worry as much. Plus you'd be more than powerful enough to defend yourself and your loved ones by then," said Fox in sadness, and hoped that Izuku would understand. I understand, I'll try and keep it a secret," said Izuku, with Fox nodding his head. Flashback end. Nezu nodded his head understanding. "Well, I must say, Izuku, your quirk is amazing. Also, you said Fox could appear here. Is it possible for you to call him so we can talk to?" said Nezu curiously. Yeah, sure, Fox, could you come out?" said Izuku, looking embarrassed since he wasn't sure how to. After a couple of seconds of silence, a ball of fire appeared next to Izuku and grew. before it morphed into Fox, who was standing on the back of the hospital bed looking at everyone. "Hello everyone, my name is Fox and I am Izuku's quirk/soul," said Fox, which now confused everyone since Izuku didn't mention that before. "What do you mean soul?" asked Nana, confused as she subconsciously squeezed Izuku's hand a little tighter. Yes, forgive me, allow me to explain. I am both his quirk and a part of his soul. For whatever he feels I shall feel. We are forever connected and nothing can tear us apart, even someone with the power to steal quirks," said Fox, which made Nana, All Might, Recovery Girl, and Nezu flinch at hearing that. "Me and Izuku share a very deep bond where I guess in a sense you could say he is me and I am him, but at the same time we are not each other. We both have our own separate feelings and thoughts, but because we are connected we can feel each other's feeling and hear some of each other's thoughts. Some people were able to understand when everyone else was still a little confused, so Nezu decided to try and explain. So, in a way it's a symbiotic relationship, for neither one of you can live without the other and both of you rely on each other. Am I correct?" said Nezu, which got a nod from Fox. "Yes, in a sense that's what it is," said Fox, making Nezu smile that he was right. "So Fox, what will sense you said Izuku will have lots of powers, what will he have to do in order to train?" asked Nana, so she knew what to get him to help. "Izuku technically knows everything, but I'm going to make him earn the power. For if he wishes to use it he will need to show determination and self-discipline. Our quirk is very powerful and I'm not gonna let him run around using it however he pleases. He will have to train with what I give him and master it before he gets anything else," said Fox, which made everyone take a breath of relief that a 4-year-old won't be technically running around with enough power to turn a city to ash. "So what will I be learning first, Fox?" asked Izuku in excitement, which also got Katsuki, Mei, and Toga excited as well to see what he will be learning. Fox looked at him for a moment, thinking about what best to teach him. "I believe the first thing I shall teach you is how to feel your fire. From what I've seen, most people just view fire as a power and use greed or anger to control it," said Fox, spitting the last words out of his beak before realizing he started to heat the room up and took a deep calming breath. "Forgive me, but when I see those fire quirk users use flames like that it physically hurts me. But anyways, flames are a living thing and you must use your love to fuel it. Flames are life and energy like sun but inside of you, and as long as you never lose that, no matter what happens your flames shall never go out." Izuku sat there wide-eyed upon realizing that. I understand, Fox, and I promise I shall learn to use the flames right like you said, and I shall fill them with love to use them," said Izuku, which made Fox smile at hearing that. After staying in the hospital for an extra day just to be safe, Izuku was let out of the hospital. Izuku was sitting outside in the backyard listening to Fox tell him about flames and what to feel for them. While they were doing that, Katsuki and Toga were their quirks to get better at using them. Mei was on the deck messing with a little robot she tried building, and all their moms or grandma were sitting on the porch talking or joking around. Nana was listening to a funny story from Mitsuki about how Katsuki thought to try and use his quirk to fly. He tried to slowly fly down the stairs but ended up launching himself down the stairs and smashed into her husband, nailing him right in the nuts. Before the story could continue, she heard a knock on the door and went to it and opened the door. When she opened the door, she saw a tall, lanky man with long, unkempt black hair and was wearing black clothing with a gray scarf around his neck. He also looked like he hasn't slept in a month. "Nana Shimura?" asked the mystery man. "Yes, and how can I help you?" asked Nana, confused and cautiously. "My name is 𝗧𝗵𝗲, but I also go by Eraserhead, and I was asked by Nezu to help your grandson," said the now named Izawa. "Oh yes, now I remember you. Wait, why didn't you call or text me letting me know you were on your way?" asked Nana, annoyed now. "Sorry about that, during my investigation I got spotted and was forced to fight and my phone got destroyed." Nana simply nodded her head while sighing, for she has been in that situation before. "Alright, well, thank you for coming, it'd make me feel a little better with him training his quirk. He's out back, if you'd follow me I can take you to him," said Nana, which Izawa nodded and followed her through the house to the backyard. "Oh, right, before I forget, be careful, his quirk is very defensive about him, so just be careful about how you approach him," said Nana, which made Izawa sign but nod. Both of them walked through the back door and saw everyone out there doing the same as when she left. Izuku looked around and saw the kid he was asked to help in case something went wrong and started to walk over to him. Izuku didn't even get within 15 feet before the bird's head whipped behind him and glared at him. He felt as if death itself was staring at him when that bird glared at him, and it honestly scared him. "Izuku, Fox, this is Izuku, the guy I mentioned, and he will be helping you with your quirk in case something goes wrong," said Nana, trying to calm down Fox, for she was fully aware that he was extremely defensive about Izuku since he didn't really trust humans besides the ones Izuku trusted. Izuku gulped and introduced himself. "Hello, my name is Shota Izuku, also known as Eraserhead, and like your grandma said, I'll be helping you, 𝗵𝗃-san," said Izuku, which made Izuku look excited, but Fox still kept his eyes on him but lessened his glare slightly. "Hi, Mr. Eraserhead, it's nice to meet you," said Izuku, smiling. "Just call me Izuku, it helps hide my identity and anyone I'm close to since I'm an underground hero," said Izuku, which made Izuku nod his head. "So if you don't mind me asking, what is it you're doing so I know what to prepare for?" he said as he sat down near them. "Well, Fox here is teaching me how to feel fire and how to properly use it, unlike almost all fire quirk users," said Izuku, which made Izuku raise an eyebrow. "How to feel fire? From what I heard, most fire users just feel their quirk and use it. What's the difference from that and what you're doing?" asked Izuku, intrigued. "Well, most fire quirk users just throw their flames around and fuel it with anger until their bodies can't handle the drawback anymore. But what I'm trying to teach Izuku is how to feel the flame, let it become a part of him, for fire is a living thing and if you take care of it, it will take care of you," said Fox, which made Izuku nod. Not only that, but if they actually used flames properly, it would be possible for them to be stronger, but not as much since they have physical limitations. Izuku nodded his head while making a mental note of that. "Very well, continue with what you're doing and I'll be right here. Let me know if you need help or when you begin to use flames, so I can be ready," said Izuku as he got himself more comfortable on the ground. About 45 minutes passed and Izuku was able to understand everything Fox meant and how to feel them. Now he had to actually try and call upon them. "All right, Izuku, sit in the lotus position and concentrate deep within yourself. You will find the flames of your quirk, but be warned, because it are a part of me, you will have to prove yourself to it if you wish to wield the flames truly," said Fox, which made Izuku sit in the lotus position and meditate. Deep within his mind, Izuku found himself in the same place where he met Fox. He looked around till he saw a flaming version of Fox sitting on the fire he used to leave. Izuku stared at it and it stared it back as if it was judging him. Hello, I'm here to be able to use your power," said Izuku, unaware that those were the wrong words to say. The flaming version of Fox glared at him and exploded in size and wrath of flames. Izuku backed away and shielded himself from the immense heat that was cooking him alive. Izuku looked from in between his arms and saw the fire was easily over 100 feet tall and was radiating power. Izuku thought at what could have made it so angry before he remembered what Fox said. "You will have to prove yourself worthy to wield them." Izuku slowly stood up, ignoring the intense flames that seemed to radiate more heat and anger as he did so. He looked up and saw the flaming version of Fox glaring more harshly at him. The bird lifted its great wings and increased the power of its fire, which started to make Izuku's body burn, but he still ignored it. Izuku now stood on his feet and looked at the flaming Fox. Please forgive me, I didn't mean it like that," said Izuku, making the flames die down slightly. "I know that I'm not worthy of such great and amazing power, but please help me with your flames. I wish to be able to use them so I can save everyone. I wish to be a hero that will bring happiness and hope to people around the world, or be a beacon of light in the dark. I know I have nothing to prove to you that I am worthy, but all I'm asking is please allow me," said Izuku as he bowed his head to the flaming Fox. Izuku stood there bowing for a little bit before he felt the flames disappear. He slowly lifted his head up and saw the flaming Fox smiling at him. "You have passed the test," said the flaming Fox before he turned into a ball flames of many different colors and went straight into Izuku, becoming a part of him. Fox suddenly looked at Izuku and smiled. "He passed the test. Now everyone, I suggest you all take a step back. You're about to witness the first flame of the phoenix," said Fox, confusing everyone, but they listened to him and stepped away from Izuku. They were all glad that they did, because Izuku exploded in fire. The heat of the flames was so intense that everyone had to run inside or risk getting burned. They all watched as utter amazement when the flames became a massive tornado that easily reached 300 feet in the air. The flames were a peeling fire, with green, purple, and blue dancing in the flames. Soon the fire slowly died down before it became nothing more than a small ball of fire in Izuku's hand, who was now standing and holding it. "So, Izuku, do you feel it?" asked Fox as he flew over to him and was standing in front of him. "Yes. I feel it. It feels amazing. I can feel its power and energy. As well as its life. It's like a little heartbeat," said Izuku, smiling before he held it in front of Fox. "I'm glad you understand, and never forget that they are a part of you," said Fox, smiling. "Izuku/Deku," yelled Katsuki, Mei, and Toga as they all ran to him with massive smiles on their faces from seeing that. "That was so amazing how your flames did that and how they went so high in the air," said Toga, jumping up and down in excitement. "Yeah, then they lots of different colors as it spun, which made it look really amazing. OMG, I can't wait to get into UA so I get to make you lots of gadgets for your costume," said Mei, all but vibrating in happiness. "That was badass, Deku. I knew my rival will be powerful, but don't you dare fall behind me. Both me and you are racing for the top, and I want my rival at my side till then," said Katsuki with a massive smile forming into a smirk. "Well, Nezu wasn't wrong when he said it would be powerful," said Aizawa, amazed at the amount of power a 4-year-old had. "I know, right? Endeavor is gonna when he hears a 4-year-old has stronger flames than him," said Mitsuki, laughing at the mental image of Endeavor throwing a hissy fit. "Don't worry, if he does, I have the fire department on speed dial. Last thing this area needs are burning trash cans running around," said Nana, making everyone, even Aizawa, laugh at her joke. The adults watched as Izuku started using his flames, practicing with them and how to use them. The kids also watched, cheering him on. Mitsuki had to step in and drag Katsuki away cause he wanted to spar and she didn't feel like paying for the damage. Eventually night came and the kids were on the couch watching TV with a show that had some kid wearing a ugly orange jumpsuit running around screaming, "Believe it. Wow, and I thought 𝗵𝗃 was our attention seeker. This kid is trying to be a ninja but wears that," said Katsuki. "Ha, I know, right? The next thing you know some old pervert is gonna be his teacher," said Mei, laughing. "Oh, or maybe some weird pasty dude that likes kids will be the enemy and kidnap Mr. Brooding," said Katsuki, snickering. "Ha, maybe we'll see some kid who says our lives are predetermined by fate and has a 30-foot log shoved up his butt sideways," said Toga, laughing. "I think you three are going way too deep into this. What's the chances of any of that happening in the show?" said Izuku, laughing. Eventually the night carried on and everyone had to leave. The Bakugos ended up leaving first with Izuku and Katsuki fist bumping before Katsuki left. The Togas ended up leaving next and Himiko gave Izuku a hug and an embrace on the cheek before leaving. That ended up making him blush and hide his face as Himiko giggled. The 𝗵𝗃𝗃s left after them with Mei giving him a hug and an embrace on the other cheek as well. This also made him become a blushing mess with Mei giggling at before they left. "Ah, it looks like my little Izuku already has 2 girlfriends, said Nana, teasing him. "Grandmom," yelled Izuku in embarrassment. Well, anyways, Izuku, come on, it's time for bed," said Nana as her and Izuku went upstairs to get ready for bed. Fox sat on the headboard of Izuku's bed and waited for him to get done with his showers so both of them can go to bed. His flames were so powerful at this age. I can't wait to see what you're able to do later, Izuku. I will help you every step of the way and show the world the power of the Phoenix," thought Fox. Years have passed since Izuku first used his flames, and ever since then he has been training with them relentlessly. Izuku now has near-perfect flame control and can decide if he wants them to burn or not. He also learned how to use them to fly. He either uses his flames as phoenix wings and flies or uses controlled fire on the bottom of his feet like jet engines. Izuku and Katsuki have become even stronger rivals, with both of them always trying to one-up the other. Sadly for Katsuki, Izuku won most challenges between them. He still won some but not as many as Izuku, and he used this to push himself farther to surpass him. Now both of them are at Izuku's house playing a video game and they are winning the match. Sadly, there is a camper on the enemy team that only targets Katsuki and Izuku. "That 𝗵𝗃𝗃, I'm going to kill his beach butt," yelled Katsuki, who just got killed for the 5th time by him. Kaken, I'm not one for much swearing, but I agree, let's kill this, but, said Izuku with a noticeable tick mark on his forehead. Katsuki simply smiled, yeah, let's kill him. Downstairs, Nana was watching TV and laughing at how Katsuki and Izuku are acting. Nana was really excited since Toshinori is coming back today after his long trip to the US. As he told her while there, he could feel his American blood flowing and started naming all his super moves after cities or states of America. Nana couldn't help but chuckle a bit and also be excited to see Izuku's reaction to seeing his big brother finally coming back after so long. Nana was interrupted when someone knocked on her door and she walked over and saw that it was the very man she was just thinking of. Toshi, it's so good to see you, said Nana, who hugged him, which he happily returned. It's good to see you as well, sensei, said All Might, smiling at seeing his Emma after so long. So how have you and Izuku been? We've been really good, him and Katsuki are upstairs playing a game, said Nana. Before they could continue talking, they heard Katsuki start screaming, you mother effing camper. Nana simply sweat dropped. They are having fun, as you can tell, she said. Indeed. Well, if you need me, I'm gonna go and say hi to my little brother, said All Might, who then started walking up the stairs. Izuku and Katsuki were currently glaring at the screen looking for the camper when the door was opened. Hello, my little brother, it's good to see you, yelled All Might, coming in the room, making both Izuku and Katsuki smile and stop playing the game. Big brother Toshi, yelled Izuku as he ran to him and hugged him. It's so good to see you. Why didn't you tell me you were coming home today? Why, that would have ruined the surprise, and I wanted to surprise you, said All Might, smiling. So, Toshi, what will we do? Asked Izuku, excited. Well, that depends on if young Katsuki wants to join us, asked All Might, raising an eyebrow and now not talking as loudly as he usually does. Now you two have fun, I'm gonna head back home. Have fun, Izuku. Also tell Fox I said later, said Katsuki, who fist bumped Izuku before he left. Oh, speaking of which, where is Fox? Asked All Might curiously. Oh, he said he wanted to go and fly around the forest that's nearby. He really enjoys nature. He says it's peaceful and calming, and I usually go with him as well, said Izuku, standing up and walking with Toshi downstairs. Hey sensei, would you like to join us? Asked All Might. No, it's okay, you two go and have fun, I'll see both of you when you come back, said Nana, waving as both of them left. Nana enjoyed the peace and quiet before she got a call on her phone. Hello. Hey Nana, it's been a while since we talked, said 𝗵𝗃. Oh Sora, yeah, it has been, how are you? Said Nana, smiling. Hee, I'm good, just old. So I heard Toshi is back, said 𝗵𝗃, chuckling. Also, how's Izuku doing with his quirks? He's doing good with it, he's gotten really strong. It scares me sometimes for how strong he's become, said Nana. You were the same when Toshi got strong enough to change the weather with a single punch, said 𝗵𝗃, remembering her reaction when he first did it. Yeah, that is true, said Nana, lightly chuckling. I'm sure, Nana, I'm sure you're aware why he's also back as well, said 𝗵𝗃 in a sad tone. Nana looked down in sadness and almost dropped her phone. Yes, said Nana as she clenched her teeth and fist in anger now. She was aware that the main reason he returned was to finally beat All for One. Sora, please protect him, I can't lose him as well, and Izuku needs him too, said Nana, trying to keep the tears from forming. I promise both me and Night Eye will help him all we can, said 𝗵𝗃. Thank you, said Nana before she ended the call and started sobbing. Back with All Might and Izuku, they are walking through the forest where Izuku and Fox usually go to. Right now Izuku is sitting on his shoulders looking around and enjoying being up on his brother's shoulders. Toshi, it's so cool being up this high. I can't wait to be as tall as you, said Izuku, smiling while not caring that he's technically too old for this. I'm sure one day you will, Izuku. Now why don't you call Fox and let's have a spar? Said All Might, which made Izuku go wide-eyed. Really, but I don't even stand a chance, said Izuku, downcast. That's why I said spar and not fight, I just want to see how strong my little brother is, said All Might, smiling as he put Izuku down on the ground. Izuku smiled and nodded before he asked something. Wait, where will we fight? I don't want to burn the forest down, and I'm sure you don't want to turn the forest into a barren wasteland. All Might brought his hand to his chin in thought. I think I know the perfect spot. Izuku just nodded at his brother and sent a mental message to Fox asking him to come where he is. After a couple of seconds, both Izuku and All Might looked up and saw Fox coming up to them at extremely fast speeds. He landed on Izuku's shoulder and gave his eye smile to All Might and Izuku. "Ah, Tashinori, it's good seeing you after so long," said Fox. "Indeed, Fox, it's good to see you," going back to how he usually talks now, which scared all the animals nearby. Fox looked at All Might with a slight glare for scaring the animals, which made him rub the back of his head and apologize. "Well, now that the animals are scared off, no thanks to someone," said Fox while giving him another glare. "Where are you planning to take us so you and Izuku can spar?" "There is a rocky plateau that I will take us to, and no one is near it, so we won't be disturbed," said All Might. "All right, lead the way," said Izuku as he created phoenix wings on his back to fly, and Fox flew into him. "That's the spirit, now don't fall behind me, ha," said All Might, who crouched down and jumped. All Might was rocketing through the sky heading to the place where they will spar. He turned around and saw Izuku right behind him and smiling. "Good to know you can keep up, and at this rate it should take us 30 minutes to get there," said All Might before he fell down and jumped back up in the air. After 30 minutes of traveling, they arrived to where All Might said they will spar. "This place shall be perfect," said All Might before he turned around and got in his combat stance. "Now come at me, Izuku, and don't hold back." Izuku looked at All Might and nodded before he slipped into his combat stance. Both of them didn't move and just stared at each other until a leaf in the breeze came by. The leaf was between them and slowly fell to the ground. The leaf hit the ground and they both charged at each other. Izuku lifted his arm up and launched a wall of fire at All Might, who dodged it and sent a weak punch at Izuku, which blew him back. Izuku looked up and blasted fireball at him, but he hit a second one behind it. All Might saw the fireball and dodged it but got hit by the second one because Izuku took control of it. All Might quickly shook his arm to try and get the flames off, but they wouldn't go out, and Izuku used that to his advantage. Izuku charged at All Might and used his flames as a booster and went even faster. He brought his fist back and created a rocket punch with it, which nailed All Might right in the face, blowing him back. "That was a good one, now let's continue," yelled All Might as he threw a smash at Izuku, who barely dodged it. Izuku used his flames and created a smoke screen to block All Might's view, but didn't get enough time because All Might was back on the attack. All Might and Izuku charged at each other and engaged in hand-to-hand combat. Izuku used his flames to make All Might flinch or hesitate for a second, and All Might used his experience to hold his own. Izuku ducked under a punch and shot a blast of flames at All Might's face before he used his natural super strength and punched him in the side of the knee. All Might fell to one knee but quickly grabbed Izuku and threw him back. Izuku created another smoke screen and charged his flames while manipulating them into a massive fist the size of All Might. All Might charged through the smoke and was met by a massive flaming fist as big as him. The punch launched him back again, and when he looked up he saw Izuku bringing his hands forward. "I stole this from an anime I watched from the pre-quirk era, but this should work," said Izuku as a small flame formed in his hand and was super condensed. All Might could feel the sheer heat and power of the flame, and he realized this attack could actually hurt him. "Final flash!" screamed Izuku as the flame jetted out of his hand like a massive beam of pure power. All Might barely dodged and was glad he did, cause the flames smashed into the side of the cliff and tore through it and destroying everything behind it up to 2 miles. All Might stood there in shock from what he just witnessed. He then turned to Izuku and smiled. "That was amazing, Izuku. I think we've done enough for today, so let's go home before Sensei hunts us down," said All Might, shivering at the memory of her doing that. Both of them left the area and went back home and telling Nana why they look slightly beat up. So now both of them are sitting on the ground with a stack of books on their heads as punishment. A couple of days passed since then, and All Might said he had to leave for an important mission. When he left he looked sad and hopeful. Nana was a mess. She was crying and kept saying, "Please come back, I can't lose you as well." All of this confused and concerned Izuku a lot, but he had no idea what was going on. Izuku and Nana are watching some TV when they get a call from Nezu, and he told them to go to the hospital. When they arrived at the hospital, both Nana and Izuku ran through the halls and found Nezu, Recovery Girl, Gran Torino, and 𝗧𝗏𝗍. They were all standing in front of a hospital room with sad looks on their faces. "Is," said Nana, very worried. He's alive, but barely. He was seriously injured. He ended up losing half of his respiratory system, his stomach, and some parts of his small and large intestines," said Recovery Girl with her head down. Nana heard this and fell to her knees crying while also trying to comfort Izuku, who started sobbing. "What will happen to him now?" asked Nana. "Now he needs a new successor," said Night-Eye. "I agree, but a successor will take time to train, so we have to wait on Toshi," said Nana. "I will begin looking for a suitable candidate for it. Preferably one that has a good quirk and can be the next All Might," said Night-Eye, which got Nana glaring at him. "One for all just doesn't get decided like that, Night-Eye. It has to given to someone the wilder deems worthy," said Nana. "Maybe not, but we need someone to inherit his title and power, so I will find someone regardless," said Night-Eye, walking away. "Will Toshi be able to continue being a hero?" asked Nana, letting go of Izuku and walking up to the others. "If he is, he'll be limited to 7 to 8 hours a day," said Recovery Girl. "One for all will slowly leave him over time, and I'd say in about 10 years he will lose it." As the adults talked, Izuku slowly walked to All Might's room and opened the door and went inside. When he saw him, his eyes widened. All Might was covered in bandages and had a breathing mask on. "Toshi," said Izuku, slowly walking up to his bed. "Izuku," wheezed All Might. "Toshi, are you okay?" asked Izuku as he walked over to All Might and trying to not cry. He walked up to his bed and gently put his hand on his. "I'm okay," said All Might. "I'm happy we'll never have to deal with that monster." "What monster?" asked Izuku. "Someone who almost killed your grandma if your grandpa didn't sacrifice himself," said All Might. "I kept a promise, and now I never have to worry about you or Sensei getting hurt by him." Izuku looked down to the ground. "Toshi, I could heal you." "I know, but that would 𝗧𝗵𝗲 𝗔𝗂𝗧𝗟𝗏, said All Might before he got cut off. "I don't care. I don't care, you're my big brother and I can't lose you, so please let me heal you," said Izuku with tears coming from his eyes. All Might simply smiled and slowly nodded. "Please leave the scar, it will act as a reminder that I have to get better." "Fox, please don't let them come in the room," said Izuku. After he said that, Fox came out and went to the door and held it shut in case. "This may hurt, Toshi, since I have to regrow your organs," said Izuku, and a ball of white and gold flames appeared in his hand. He slowly lowered them on All Might and the flames engulfed him, and he gritted his teeth to stop himself from screaming. All Might could feel his organs regrowing and his wounds healing, and it did hurt, but he understood since it has to regrow the organs, instead of just healing them, which wouldn't hurt at all. Outside the room, they finally noticed Izuku wasn't there and saw a white and golden glow coming from the room. Recovery Girl and Nezu went to the door and started banging on it, telling him to open the door. Nana and Gran Torino stood back because they were now aware what Izuku was most likely doing. "Nana, Sora, open this door, hurry," yelled Recovery Girl. "Don't worry, it's fine," said Gran Torino, crossing his arms, and Nana nodded her head. This confused them, and then the glow from the room went away and they heard walking. The door opened and All Might walked out of the room with no limp or lack of breath. "Toshi, you need to beat a dash." Recovery Girl stopped yelling when she saw only a faint scar on his side. "What the hell? You can thank my little brother for this. Also, I'm only going to say this once," said All Might before the entire hall felt heavy and Nezu and Recovery Girl were having a strong time breathing. "What you just witnessed will never be spoken of or ever written down, or I will personally give you a ticket to hell." When All Might said this, his voice ended up cracking the walls from the sheer power in it. Both Recovery Girl and Nezu wanted to ask questions but knew not to, especially after that threat. Especially Nezu, he knew that even being principal of UA won't be able to protect him from All Might's wrath. "Senseis, Izuku, let's go home and celebrate," said All Might with a smile as him and his family left the hospital. Nezu watched them and his mind was racing a mile a minute trying to figure out what happened. But he couldn't at that very second, so he simply sighed and walked away, heading to UA. Back with the family, they were all walking and All Might decided to ask Izuku a question. "Izuku, what kind of hero do you want to be?" asked All Might. Izuku looked a little surprised before he looked at his hand and clenched it. "I want to be a hero that will inspire hope and give a light in the darkness, no matter how dark it may seem. I want people to be able to look at me and feel safe knowing that I am here," said Izuku with a smile on his face. All Might heard this and couldn't help but smile and think, maybe you can be my successor Izuku and hold one for all like your grandma and I do or did. Izuku and his friends were sitting in their new class at 𝗲𝗓𝗏 Junior High. They were sitting and waiting for the teacher to come in. It's been 2 weeks since they started middle school and the group of 4 have been at the top since. 𝗵𝗃𝗃 was sitting behind Izuku and playing with hair. Mei was sitting next to them drawing up blueprints on Katsuki's, Izuku's, and 𝗵𝗃𝗃's costumes and support gear. Katsuki was on his phone reading about All Might catching a falling building and having to hold it for a couple hours. Izuku was mentally talking to Fox about different ideas on how to use his flames. So what if I turn my flames into a 𝗬𝗏𝗶 or chains to catch and ensnare villains? Said Izuku mentally. That would be possible, but you'd have to get better at your temperature control of your flames first, said Fox. Have any suggestions on how to do that? Asked Izuku as felt 𝗵𝗃𝗃 putting a small part of his hair in a braid. And, like Astrid did to Hiccup in the second movie, well, the best way to do that would to be think of your flames like a temperature gauge and you control the knob. Remember Izuku, we have complete control over fire and we can make it do almost anything. The only restraint is your imagination, said Fox. Alright, well, when I get home today I'll start training with temperature control, said Izuku. Just then the door opened and the teacher walked into class. Hello class. Before we get started, we have a new student that shall be joining us today. She recently moved here with her parents and so she'll be with this class and please treat her nicely, said the teacher before she motioned to someone at the door to come in. The class looked and saw a girl walk into the room. She had short brown hair that ended right above her shoulders, big brown eyes, and rosy cheeks that looked like a permanent blush. Class, I'd like to introduce all of you to our new student. Now why don't you introduce yourself, said the teacher with a smile. Oh, Hi, my name is Ochako Uraraka. I like matcha and spending time with my parents. And my dream is be a hero to save people and to use the money I get to allow my parents to have an easy life, said Ochako. The class either smiled or some scowled. That's lovely, Uraraka. Now why don't you go and sit down? There's a seat right behind 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗏 and next to Toga, said the teacher, which made 𝗵𝗃𝗃 raise her hand and wave. Ochako nodded and sat down at her desk and waited for the teacher to continue talking. Okay class, today we will continue geometry. Bakugo, could you get Shimura to pay attention please? Said the teacher with a deadpan from being used to seeing him do that. Katsuki turned around and smacked Izuku across the face, which got his attention. What the heck, Kaken? Said Izuku, rubbing his cheek. Class started. Deku, get your HT together and if listen, said Katsuki as he turned back around. It was now lunchtime and the group of 4 were sitting at the table and eating while talking. I can't believe All Might was able to hold a 30-story building for 4 hours as firefighters and heroes got all the people out, said Katsuki before he took a bite out of his fish. That is so FOP that he can do that, then immediately go off and fight some dumb F or stealing a purse. Yeah, I agree, you have to wonder what he does for working out. Maybe he bench presses buildings, said Mei while picturing him doing just that. Well, Izuku, does he? Asked 𝗵𝗃𝗃 as she leaned towards Izuku, which made him blush slightly. From what I've seen, he used to use special equipment that he had custom built so he can keep his strength as high as it is. But sadly there isn't any anymore that can, so he uses his hero work to do that and usually uses his super moves at special training grounds, said Izuku while rubbing the back of his head. Well, what's his record for strongest punch then? Asked Mei as she leaned across the table. I want to know how strong I have to make my babies so I can make the ultimate support gear. He said his record is 10 megatons, or 98,066,500,000 newtons. But that was also his strongest punch ever and it's powerful enough to destroy a city, said Izuku. When he said this he heard a strong slamming noise with what sounded like cracking. He turned and saw it was Katsuki, who slammed his head into the table so strong it cracked it. So unfair, said Katsuki with a storm cloud forming over his head. Everyone laughed at that because they were all well aware that Katsuki constantly challenged All Might every time he sees him. So far he hasn't won once, but he's too stubborn to give up. As they were laughing they were interrupted by someone talking. Do you mind if I have lunch here, said the voice, and when they turned and looked they saw that it was Uraraka. Everyone looked at her for a moment before they nodded, which made her smile, and she sat down next to 𝗵𝗃𝗃. So round cheeks, why did you decide to sit with us? Asked Katsuki with a raised eyebrow and got him smacked on the back of the head by May. Oh well, you guys had the only table that had a open seat, plus it looked like you'd be fun to talk to, said Ochako smiling. Well, it's nice to meet you, Uraraka-san, said Izuku smiling. So what were for talking about? Asked Ochako. We were talking about how strong All Might is and how Katsuki wants to beat him and May wants to make support gear that can handle his power. Said Himiko. That sounds impossible to do, said Ochako. Maybe, but that won't stop me. I mean, if I was able to convince Katsuki to use support gear, then nothing is impossible, said May with a massive smile. Oh right, what's your guys' quirks? Mine is 0 gravity. Anything I touch with all 5 of my finger pads loses gravity and float away, said Ochako while pointing to her finger pads. Mine's explosion. I have the best quirk ever. Himiko over here has a BLD quirk that allows her to disguise herself as anyone. May here can see up to 10 miles away or can see things on the microscopic level. Finally, Izuku has Phoenix. It's stupidly overpowered if you ask me, said Katsuki as he gave Izuku a slight glare. I guess it is, but Fox has been helping me with it so I can control it better, said Izuku while scratching the back of his head. Phoenix? What does it do? And who's Fox? Asked Ochako curiously. Oh well, my quirk is called Phoenix and it gives me almost all of the powers of the bird itself. Also, Fox is the name of my quirk, its sentience, said Izuku. Wow, that's so cool, can I meet him? Asked Ochako excitedly. I'd say yes, but because we are in school right now, no. I don't want to get in trouble, said Izuku. That's alright. Maybe we can all be friends, said Ochako. The others looked at each other and nodded. I don't see anything wrong with that. Welcome to the group, Uraraka, said Himiko smiling. It was the end of the day and everyone was leaving school and heading home. Izuku and his friends decided to wait at the gates for their new friend Uraraka. They stood at the gate and noticed that she wasn't showing up and they started getting a little worried. So they all decided to head back in and look for her. As they were walking through the halls, they heard some silent crying and laughing coming from a classroom. They opened the door and saw Uraraka on the ground protecting herself as some students were kicking her. Ugh, look at this ugly bitch, she comes in and gets all buddy with us and now we gotta teach her a lesson, said one of the female students, who then kicked her very strong in the stomach. The student didn't get to finish his sentence as he was punched in the face by Izuku, which sent him to the ground. The others looked up in shock before they were attacked by Izuku's friends and were now on the ground unconscious or rolling in pain. Izuku walked up to Ochako and gently put his hand on her shoulder, which made her flinch. It's okay, Uraraka-san, they aren't gonna hurt you no more, said Izuku. Ochako slowly looked up and saw that her new friends were smiling and nodding. She quickly sat up and hugged Izuku as she started crying into his ear. Izuku was a little shocked at first before he hugged her back and gently started rubbing her back to help calm her down. What's going on in here? Said a teacher as he walked in the room and saw some kids laying on the ground beaten up. With Izuku and his friends also being there, with Izuku, May, and Toga trying to calm down a crying Ochako. Bakugo, what happened in here? Asked the teacher. These extras decided to bully and beat Uraraka, so we fought them and taught them a lesson, said Katsuki as he crossed his arm. All right, all of you, principal's office, and I'll get a teacher to take the others to the nurse's room, said the teacher as he went to the class phone. Now we see the group sitting in the principal's office with everyone's prospective parent or guardian sitting with them. Only one student that was bullying Ochako was there because the others were still in the nurse's office. So, Uraraka, could you please tell me what happened? Asked the principal. It was she was cut off when she felt someone put their hand on her shoulder and give a comforting squeeze. She turned and saw that it was Izuku. It's okay, Uraraka-san, said Izuku with a small smile. Ochako slowly nodded and proceeded to tell the principal that the ones that hurt didn't like her. So once school ended, they cornered her and dragged her to a classroom and started beating her up. As the students started getting more violent, then the door was opened and her new friends showed up and saved her. The principal listened to all of this and tried his best to suppress his rage before he turned to the one of the bullies. Is all of this true? The student just nodded his head. I see, well, normally the school would just deal with it, but it's up to the parents if they want to press charges, said the principal. Ms. 𝗬𝗧𝗃, I won't blame you for pressing charges against my son for what he and his friends did to your daughter. I thought I taught him better, but apparently not," said the woman as she looked sadly at 𝗬𝗧𝗪's mom. "I think I'd just like to press charges against the ones that were extremely violent with her," said Ms. 𝗬𝗧𝗃 as she looked at her daughter. "Very well, we will inform the police of that and make sure they are punished here as well," said the principal before he turned his attention to Izuku's group of friends. "Now normally I'd punish you kids for fighting as well, but because you saved 𝗬𝗧𝗃, I'll let it slide this time, alright." Izuku and his friends let out a breath of relief at hearing that they won't be in trouble for that. "Well, that's good, but I think it's time to go home," said Nana as she stood up. Everyone nodded and they all started to leave the school heading to the entrance. They arrived at the entrance and before they left, Ochako and her mom gave a slight bow. "Thank you for saving my daughter," said Ochako's mom. "Oh, it was no problem, Ms. 𝗬𝗧𝗃, it's what any hero would do," said Izuku with a smile. Ochako then walked up to him. Would it be okay if we all exchanged numbers?" "Sure," said Himiko as she stole Ochako's phone and started putting all their numbers in it. "Well, I'm free Saturday, maybe we could all hang?" asked Ochako. "Sorry, but no, I got SHT to do at home with the old hag and the old man," said Katsuki, who then got smacked by his mom and they started yelling at each other. I should be free, what about you, May, Himiko?" asked Izuku, which they both nodded their heads. "Alright, well, I'll see you tomorrow at school, bye everyone," said Ochako as she and her mom walked away. "Bye 𝗬𝗧𝗃," said Izuku, May, and Himiko with Katsuki just grunting. "Well, it's nice to see you all have a new friend," said 𝗂𝗄𝗄 as she patted her daughter's head. "Mom, knock it off, I'm not a child," said Himiko with a pout. "Well, it's getting late, I think we should all head back to homes, besides I gotta deal with this little," said Most as she grabbed Katsuki's ear and dragged him to the car. "Alright, well, bye May, bye Izun," said Himiko as she went and hugged both of them before she left. "Bye Izuku, bye Himiko," said May as she hugged them as well before she left. "Bye May, bye Himiko," said Izuku as he hugged them before him, and Nana turned around and started heading home. "I'm very proud of you, Izuku, you acted like a hero today," said Nana as she reached over and pulled Izuku into a side hug. "Thanks, Grandma, and I just did what I thought was right, and besides my legs moved on their own," said Izuku. When Nana heard that, she smiled more brightly and made a mental note to tell Toshi. "Well, tonight I'll make us katsudon, how does that sound?" asked Nana, which made him start nodding his head rapidly. "Oh, Grandma, before I forget, me and Fox are gonna train on something new, but it shouldn't be too dangerous," said Izuku. "Oh, and what would it be?" asked Nana. "Me and him are gonna work on my temperature control so I can use my fire with more freedom and in different scenarios," said Izuku, which made Nana nod. "Alright, but be careful, got it," said Nana as she ruffled his hair and noticed the braid. "Oh, so you're braiding your hair?" Oh no, Himiko did that while we were waiting for class to start," said Izuku. Nana, hearing this, decided to tease her grandson. "Well, if I didn't know any better, I think she's claiming you as hers." Izuku turned towards Nana with a blush. "W's?" said Izuku, extremely flustered. But then again, because May is always handsy with you, maybe she likes you." "Oh wait, maybe they both like you," said Nana with a big SHT-eating grin, watching her grandson start flaying around. "Don't worry, Izuku, I'm sure they won't mind. Besides, in today's society with quirks, it's okay to have multiple girlfriends or boyfriends," said Nana. "𝗬𝗲𝗵𝗃," said Izuku, stuttering. "Maybe that 𝗬𝗧𝗃 girl will like you as well. Oh, I'm gonna have so many great grandkids to spoil," said Nana with a bigger smile. Izuku stood there in shock and did the only thing he could. He fainted. 3-year time skip. Izuku and Katsuki were standing in front of each other and glaring. They were in one of the training grounds at UA. Principal Nezu gave them permission to train their quirks here as long as they were under supervision of a teacher. Both stared at each other for another minute before Izuku quickly lifted his hand to his mouth. Izuku had his pointer and middle finger up in front of it, and then he blew out a massive fireball the size of a SUV at Katsuki. Katsuki saw this and quickly threw his hands to the ground and launched himself up in the air to dodge the attack. But sadly, the fireball changed course and followed him. He quickly started throwing lots of explosions at it to dissipate the fireball. Once the fireball was gone, Katsuki launched himself at Izuku before he spun and threw a massive explosion at him. Izuku saw this and quickly made a wing of flames and used it as a shield which blocked the explosion, but the shockwave sent him backwards. Izuku then lifted his wing up and launched a bunch of feathers at 𝗧𝗃𝗃 with some cutting him. "You're getting good, Deku," said 𝗧𝗃𝗃, wiping the BLD off from the cut on his cheek. "So, are you Kakin? But let's get serious now," said Izuku, who then flexed his hands to loosen them up. Izuku quickly blasted off with fire coming out of his feet and did a massive axe kick at 𝗧𝗃𝗃. 𝗧𝗃𝗃 quickly lifted his arms up to block it, but he fell to his knees and the ground under him buckled. He quickly grabbed Izuku's leg and used an explosion to spin and throw him. 𝗧𝗃𝗃 then used his explosions to catch up and slug him in the stomach, which made Izuku lean forward. Izuku quickly lifted his leg up and kicked 𝗧𝗃𝗃 in the nuts. Why did you kick me in the pee-peach?" said 𝗧𝗃𝗃 in a high-pitched voice as he held his junk. "Because you refused to wear a cup down there even though it would have saved you from that," said Izuku, chuckling, then quickly jumping back to avoid an explosion. Said 𝗧𝗃𝗃, trying to stand up and ignore the pain. "Going to kill you, you be." "Bring it," said Izuku, who threw his hand forward and sent a massive torrent of flames at 𝗧𝗃𝗃. 𝗧𝗃𝗃 saw this and used his explosions to blast out of the way and come up on Izuku from the side. Izuku saw this and made a quick wall of flames which blocked 𝗧𝗃𝗃 and made him back off. 𝗧𝗃𝗃 then tried a new trick he has been working on. He fully opened his hand and swiped it forward. "Finger shot!" screamed 𝗧𝗃𝗃 as 5 small controlled explosions blasted through the wall for fire. Izuku quickly dodged this and glared at 𝗧𝗃𝗃, who glared back. Right when they were about to go again, a massive wall of water formed between them. "All right, you two, that's enough," said Nana, walking up to them and ruffling Izuku's hair. "Good job, Izuku, and you as well, 𝗧𝗃𝗃." "Thanks, Grandma," said Izuku with a smile on his face. "Yeah, thanks, Miss 𝗵𝗲𝗃," said 𝗧𝗃𝗃, looking away with his arms crossed. "You two are doing amazing, and both of you only have 5 months till the UA entrance exams," said Nana, smiling. "Hee, I can't wait to see the look on those extras' faces when me and Deku along with Himiko and Ochako destroy them in the hero course," said 𝗧𝗃𝗃, smiling like a madman. "Kakin, stop calling them extras. If they are able to get into UA, I don't think they'd be extras. Also, what about May?" said Izuku. They are just extras and she's going to the support course. I know she will pass. They'd have to be stupid not to let her," said 𝗧𝗃𝗃. "Well, I guess that's true," said Izuku, chuckling. "That reminds me, when are you going to ask those 3 out?" said 𝗧𝗃𝗃, glaring at Izuku while making him blush. "What?" said Izuku, blushing a storm and involuntarily making his hair catch on fire. "Oh my god, Deku, everyone knows those 3 are head over heels for you. And besides," said 𝗧𝗃𝗃, turning away so he doesn't have to face him, "you're the only guy I find worthy of dating them." Over the years, 𝗧𝗃𝗃 has begun to see them as his sisters and was fiercely defensive about them and repeatedly told everyone only Izuku was worthy. Especially May. They both acted more like brother and sister than the other two. I don't know, I don't think they'd like Emi, let alone all 3 of them," said Izuku with his head down. Both Nana and 𝗧𝗃𝗃 saw this and smacked him on the back of the head. "Ah, what was that for?" said Izuku, rubbing the back of his head. "I swear you're as dense as your brother," said Nana, pinching the bridge of her nose. "Deku, you better ask them out or I'm gonna make you," said 𝗧𝗃𝗃, glaring at him. "Wait, what about you? I've been seeing you call and text someone a lot lately, as well as say you're hanging with someone. Is it a girlfriend? Or is it a boyfriend?" said Izuku, smirking as he watched 𝗧𝗃𝗃 blush and glare at him. "Mind your own demon business," said 𝗧𝗃𝗃 with a massive blush on his face still. "Oh, come on, Kakin, it's okay, we won't judge if you're gay or if you have a girlfriend," said Izuku, smiling before he dodged her explosion. "I'm gonna kill you," screamed 𝗧𝗃𝗃 while chasing Izuku with explosions. In the viewing room sat Principal Nezu, who was drinking his tea and laughing at the scene. In the back of the room were 2 other people. One was a businessman who worked for the richest man in all of Japan. The other was another businessman who worked for the current number 2 hero. They both watched the training session between Izuku and 𝗧𝗃𝗃. They were planning to tell their bosses about 𝗵𝗵𝗃, because of how powerful his quirk seems to be and who his grandmother is. I see why you'd bring him to my attention. A boy with this much potential, he'd be unstoppable. said 𝗵𝗃𝗏 watching the footage of Izuku and Katsuki fighting while paying attention to how powerful his flames are. I already got the information on his quirk, and it says he has complete control over his flames and can heal minor wounds on himself. Not only that, but apparently he doesn't overheat from his flames either. 𝗵𝗃𝗏 continued to watch the video before he went back to his file, not to mention he's the grandson of Paragon, so he will have massive influence. Thought 𝗵𝗃𝗏 as he stroked his chin, since my daughter refuses to use her flames, perhaps I can arrange a marriage between them and their kid will be even more powerful. Thank you, now leave so I can make some calls to arrange this, said 𝗵𝗃𝗏 reaching for his phone to make some calls. In another part of Japan, in a massive mansion sat the richest man in Japan and was also the second richest man in Asia. He finished watching the same clip as 𝗵𝗃𝗏 did and read the same files. Such a powerful quirk, and not only that, but with him being the grandson of the previous #1 hero. Him and Momo would be perfect for a marriage, and the 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 family, well, 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏 and 𝗵𝗃𝗏 family will be even more powerful. And our family's influence will increase massively. Thought 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 as flipped a page of the folder and finished reading it. Well, I have some calls to make to ensure this marriage can go through, said Ryo as he pulled up his phone and started making calls. A couple of days passed since then, and Izuku was just leaving the beach that he was cleaning. He's been cleaning it for the past 3 months and he's got half of it cleaned already. Almost done. I can't wait to see what it looks like when I'm done cleaning it, said Izuku, hopping up on the train and ignoring the looks of lust from some of the women on it. After a short while he arrived back at home and saw his grandma sitting at the table with her hands on her face. "Grandma, are you okay?" asked Izuku, worried as he walked over to her and started to rub her back. "Yeah. Just here, read these 2 letters, said Nana as she pushed the letters over. Izuku sat down and read both letter and was going wide-eyed from what he was reading. "Grandma, please. Tell me this is a joke?" asked Izuku hopefully, which she just shook her head. "Sadly no, apparently both Mr. 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏 and 𝗵𝗃𝗏 found out about you and want to arrange marriages," said Nana, rubbing her temple, trying to think of a way to get Izuku out of this situation. "But why? I don't understand. Why would they offer up their daughters to marry me?" asked Izuku, confused. Before Nana could answer, Fox appeared in a swirl of flames. "It's because of your quirk and who your grandma is. You have massive power, and because you're the grandson of the former #1 you have lots of political power," said Fox as he looked at the letters. "Fox is right, sadly that's why they want to arrange this marriage. I can't wait till Ochako, May, and Himiko find out," said Nana, smirking as her and Fox watched the color drain out of Izuku. "I'm so dead," said Izuku, feeling his soul leave his body. "Well, if I were you I'd go and tell them before they come here and kill you, or worse," said Nana, snickering. "What could be worse than dying?" said Izuku, looking at Nana confused. She simply turned to him and gave a knowing smirk. It took Izuku a couple of seconds before his face exploded red and his whole body caught on fire. "Grandma. Haha, God, you're too much fun to mess with. Besides, what's wrong? I want to be a great grandma, but at least wait till your 2nd year," said Nana, laughing at Izuku's reaction and dilemma. "But seriously, you should go and call them and let them know." Izuku simply sighed and nodded his head before he went upstairs to his room and sent them a message asking for a video chat. A couple minutes later, Izuku was on his computer looking at all his friends on the video chat. "Hey Deku, what's up?" asked Ochako curiously why he asked them to get on so urgently. "Yeah, Izuku, what's up?" asked Himiko. "Well, Grandma just got 2 letters in and said Izuku as a blush started covering his face. "They are arranged marriages from the 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 family and 𝗵𝗃𝗏, with both of them asking me to marry their daughters." When Izuku said that, he noticed a dark aura covering Ochako, Himiko, and May. Their hair was also covering their eyes. Both Izuku and Katsuki were sure they could see the Shinigami standing behind them. "Oh, I see," said the 3 girls with unchecked anger and bloodlust. "Please give us a moment. I think me, Ochako, and May need to talk," said Himiko before all 3 of them left the call. "So you might be getting 5 girls now," said Katsuki with a big SHT eating grin. No. "I just didn't know what to do, so I thought I'd let all of you know and see if you can help," said Izuku with his head on his desk. "Might say at least meet them, but don't say yes, just try and know them and be friends." suggested Katsuki as he leaned back in his chair. Oh, by the way, you got that new game. No, Kaken, it shouldn't be here for at least another day or two, said Izuku sadly. I wanted to play it so I can destroy you, said Katsuki grinning. Sigh. I'm not just your game buyer and tester. Why don't you go and get it and try it out? Said Izuku with a slight glare. Why would I do that when I got you for that, said Katsuki still grinning. Ugh. You're hopeless, said Izuku shaking his head and then noticing the girls came back. So we talked? Said Himiko with her still present sickly sweet smile. And? Asked Izuku and Katsuki. First tell us what you two were talking about because I'm sure this was brought up as well. Said Mei while crossing her arms. I just suggested Deku meet them and at least get to know them and see where it goes from there. Because I'm sure by the time he leaves he will have 𝗳𝗵𝗃 and I already know 3 of those girls. Said Katsuki smirking as he saw the girls blush at that comment. Ugh. Fine, I agree, you probably should meet them. But, said Himiko with a glare. No funny business, said all 3 girls making Izuku nod his head rapidly. I promise I won't do anything, but I'll go and let my grandma know, said Izuku heading back downstairs. Grandma? Said Izuku walking downstairs and seeing Nana now on the couch with the letters still next to her. So what did they say? Said Nana smirking. They said I should at least meet them, so could you tell them that? Said Izuku, which made Nana nod her head. Sure, I'll let them know to come over next week Friday, said Nana getting 2 pieces of paper and writing down her response. It was now Friday and Izuku was sitting on the couch patiently waiting while sitting next to Nana. Both of them decided to wear nice clothes to look more presentable. Izuku was wearing a black dress and a dark gray button-up shirt which made his hair stand out. Nana was wearing a simple navy blue skirt with a matching shirt. Nana informed them both on the meeting date and that the other would also be coming. Both parties agreed to it, but Nana knew they were gonna try and one-up each other. Minutes later a knock at the door was heard and Izuku stood up and went to the door and opened it. He was greeted by 𝗵𝗃, who was wearing a simple navy gray suit and had his flame beard smaller than usual. Standing next to him was girl about Izuku's age. She had long hair that was red and white and split down the middle. Her most noticeable feature was a scar on her left eye, but besides that Izuku noticed that she was extremely appealing, especially with the white dress she was wearing. Hello Todoroki-sans, said Izuku with a small bow as he opened the door more. All he got from 𝗵𝗃 was a grunt of acknowledgement from him and a simple glance from his daughter. Izuku closed the door since the Yaoyorozus weren't here yet and he walked over and sat back next to Nana. It's a pleasure to see you after so long 𝗵𝗃, how have you been, said Nana with a small forced smile. It's good to see you as well Shimura-san, said 𝗵𝗃. I'm sure both of you know why we are here. Yes. Because you want your daughter to marry my grandson, correct? Said Nana with a slight twitch of her eyebrow. Yes, with both of them they could make very powerful future heroes and our families and hero influence could increase massively. Said 𝗵𝗃, trying to convince Nana. As their conversation continued, Izuku looked at 𝗵𝗃's daughter and saw the looks of anger and wanting to leave. But deep down he also saw sadness. What does your daughter think about this? Asked Izuku curiously as he interrupted 𝗵𝗃 and Nana's conversation. Shoka looked at him with a small bit of surprise and gratitude for that question being asked. Well Shoka, what do you think? Said 𝗵𝗃 looking at her with a certain gaze/scowl. It's not my choice, but I'd rather not be getting married to some stranger, said Shoka in a monotone tone. After she said that, 𝗵𝗃 glared at her for a moment before he went back to Nana and continued trying to convince her. Izuku saw that and scowled and stood up and walked over to Shoka with her raising an eyebrow slightly. How about we go outside and talk? I'm sure you don't want to be here, said Izuku kindly. Shoka just looked at him and nodded before she stood up and followed him to the backyard. Both of them were on the porch with an awkward silence going by before Izuku cut in. I'm sorry you're being put into this, I'm sure you don't want to be getting married to some stranger. Said Izuku, trying to ease the tension. It's not your fault, it's my old man's, he just wants power so he doesn't care. So it doesn't matter, we'll end up married and I'll be forced to have a kid with you, said Shoka with a slight hurt look in her eyes. Izuku heard this and scowled before he gently tapped her on the shoulder, getting her attention. Even if we did end up married, I wouldn't force you to do anything like that. That's just wrong, and if I did, I'd hope you smack some sense into me for being that stupid, said Izuku, which made Shoka have a slight twitch at the corner of her mouth. Well, that at least makes me feel a little better knowing that if we do end up together you won't do something like that, said Shoka. Well, how about you tell me about yourself and I'll do the same, said Izuku. Shoka was silent for a moment, thinking it over before she gave a slight nod. I like cold soba, I don't much else but train and read. My dream is to become a hero using my right side, said Shoka. Oh, what's your quirk? Asked Izuku excitedly. It's bald, half cold, half hot. I can make ice with my right side and flames with my left. I only use my right side though, said Shoka. Why do you not use your flames? Asked Izuku, confused. I refuse to use my father's flames, said Shoka with a glare. You hate your flames, don't you? Said Izuku, already knowing the answer. Shoka didn't respond, instead she just nodded before she spoke. They only hurt people and because of them my family is destroyed. Izuku heard that and felt bad before he stood up and walked over to her and held his hand to her. She quirked an eyebrow at this. Why are you offering me your hand? Because I want to show you something, said Izuku before he grabbed her hand and led her to the training area. Okay, now close your eyes and I promise I won't do anything bad, said Izuku, trying to make her glare go away. She eventually sighed and closed her eyes. When she did that, Izuku used his flames and made something special to show her. Okay, open them up, said Izuku. Shoka opened her eyes and gasped at what she saw. Flames were dancing around and looked like flowers. Some flames looked snowflakes falling down. She then looked and saw Izuku was holding a ball of fire that had a rainbow of colors in it. Its true flames are dangerous and hurt people, but they are also a appealing thing. They light up our way in the dark. They provide us warmth in the cold, and they helped unite humanity, said Izuku, creating animals made out of fire. Shoka was a loss for words. She has never seen flames so appealing before. Her only memories of them are pain and suffering. But seeing Izuku's, they're appealing, said Shoka, loss for words. Here, hold out your hand, said Izuku, holding the flame out. She hesitantly stuck her hand out, and when she did, Izuku handed her the flame. She jumped but then felt it. It felt warm and safe. It felt as if it could protect her. See, flames aren't always a bad thing, it just depends on who uses them and those flames you have. They are yours, not your father's, and don't ever forget that, said Izuku, smiling. Shoka didn't know it, but she was smiling and some tears were streaming down her face. Thank you, said Shoka, wiping the tears away and handing the fire back to Izuku. She then looked at her left hand and willed the flames alight. Izuku felt Shoka's flames ignite and he could feel the pain behind them, but he could now feel a small bit of happiness and hope. Izuku smiled and sat down and gestured for her to do the same, which she did. They spent the next couple of minutes talking and with Izuku making her give small smiles and giggles. As they were talking, they were interrupted by a new voice. Hello, said the new voice. Izuku and Shoka turned and saw a fairly tall girl with a black spiky ponytail. She had a figure that would make most women envy to have. She was wearing a yellow cream-colored dress and had some light makeup on. Oh, I'm sorry for interrupting. My name is Momo Yaoyorozu, said Momo as she gave a small bow. Oh, it's all right, we were just talking and it's nice to meet you. My name is Izuku Shimura, said Izuku, smiling. Momo smiled and nodded and turned over and saw the other girl who had a blank, impassive look, Shoka Todoroki. Well, it's lovely to meet you too, and I'm sure my father explained why I'm here, said Momo, looking away. Yes, but don't worry, I don't want to force anyone into anything, so you can calm down, Yaoyorozu-san, said Izuku, which received a small smile from her. Thank you, I'd hate for two strangers to get married, it just seems so wrong, said Momo while sighing. I agree, so would you like to join us in our talk? Asked Izuku, unaware of the slight look of disappointment from Shoka. Momo smiled and sat down with them, and all three of them began conversing. Over the time, Izuku got to learn more about her and picked up on traces of self-doubt from her. Yaoyorozu, said Izuku, which got her attention. Yes, said Momo, looking at Izuku. I don't mean to pry, but I have a feeling you self-doubt yourself, said Izuku, gaining a look of shock from her. I don't think I'm good enough, said Momo with her head down. I don't think so, your quirk is amazing along with your intelligence, and don't let those thoughts control you. I can tell from one look you are powerful and all you need is a little push. So how about one day we spar and I show you just how strong you truly are, said Izuku smiling. Momo slightly blushed at that. Be like that, said Momo while twirling a part of her hair. Another hour went by and all three of them were called back into the house and they were all sitting next to parents or grandparent. So have you agreed to marry my daughter, said 𝗵𝗃𝗏 looking at Izuku. For mine. With my family, both our families would profit massively from this, said Ryo Yaoyorozu. Izuku was silent before he looked up and looked them in the eyes. I'm sorry, but I won't marry your daughters. It would be wrong to force them into something like that. But I'd be more than willing to be their friend, and if something happens then something happens, said Izuku, with him adding the last part to entice the fathers so all three of them can hang out and the fathers will leave them alone in hope of the marriage happening. Fine, said 𝗵𝗃𝗏, crossing his arms while also thinking of ways to increase the chances of them getting together. Very well, said Mr. Yaoyorozu, thinking of ways to con Nana into agreeing to it. Well, if that's all, I believe we are all done for the date, said Nana, standing up. Yes, I believe so. Come on, Shoka, said 𝗵𝗃𝗏, walking away, but before they left, Izuku ran up to Shoka and handed her his phone number so they could keep in contact. Soon the Yaoyorozus left and Izuku also gave Momo his phone number as well. Well, it seems you made some new friends and managed to weasel out of marriage, said Nana, smiling. Yeah, I can tell they are both lonely, so I'd like to be their friend, said Izuku, smiling. Izuku was gathering his stuff for the UA entrance exam. He was offered a recommendation but he declined it since he wanted to do it himself. As he tied his shoes, Nana walked over to him with a proud smile on her face. Izuku, your mom would be really proud of you. Thanks, Grandma, and I promise to become a great hero like you and Toshi, said Izuku, smiling. Nana smiled before she walked over to him and pulled him into a hug. I still remember the day when I could just hold you in my arms. Now look at you all grown up. Izuku hugged her back before he stepped back. Well, I gotta go. Bye, Grandma, I love you, said Izuku before he left. After he left the house, he ran to the nearby train station where he saw Himiko and Mei. Mei, Himiko, yelled Izuku, running up to them, with them smiling and running to him and pulling him into a hug. Hey, Izuku-kun, said both girls happily as they hugged him tightly. Where's Kaken, he said. He'd be here, asked Izuku, looking around. Oh, he said he missed the train because of his mom, so he's gonna be a couple minutes late, but we can head to UA, said Himiko, making Izuku nod. They all got on the train that just arrived and headed to UA. They were walking to the gates of UA and we're amazed, even Izuku, even though he's been here before. It's still as amazing as last time, said Izuku, smiling proudly. I have to agree, it's just as amazing as you said, said Himiko. Hey guys, wait up, yelled Ochako, running up to them with Katsuki right behind her. Ochako, Katsuki, we've been wondering when you'd show up, said Izuku while giving Ochako a hug, then Katsuki a fist bump. The old hag forced me to have a bunch of pictures taken, so I missed my train, or I would have been here sooner, said Katsuki, crossing his arms. My train ran late because of a villain attack, said Ochako, scratching the back of her head. Everyone gave a small laugh before they all looked at the building and all started to walk inside it, but before they could get in they heard someone yell. Hey Baku bro, how's it going? Yelled a teen with spiky red hair and eyes. He also had sharp shark-like teeth. Shitty hair, what are you doing here? Said Katsuki. What, can't a bro see his bro? Or are these your friends? Hi, my name is Ejiro Kirishima, it's nice to meet you. They all smiled and introduced themselves before Izuku looked at the time and panicked. Guys, we got 5 minutes, come on, let's go, yelled Izuku as he and the others ran inside the building. After a long written exam, they were all sitting in the auditorium except Mei. She was in the support department area. Kirishima decided to sit with them and brought new person named Mina. She had pink skin and hair with a pair of horns on top of her head. She also had black 𝗧𝗟𝗏 and yellow irises for her eyes. Hi, my name is Mina Ashido, it's nice to meet you all, said Mina, waving enthusiastically. Before anyone could respond, Present Mike got up on stage and started talking. Hey little listeners, how's it going? Give me a shout if you're excited, said Present Mike, but was met with utter silence. Okay. Tough crowd, anyways, let's get on with the explanation so you can all get started on this test. Why? Said Present Mike, but was met with silence again. I wonder what we'll have to do to pass, whispered Himiko curiously while the others were also curious. Anyways, all of you will go into the mock city with lots of other students and have to destroy robots. There are 3 types of robots. There are 1-pointers, 2-pointers, and 3-pointers, and your goal is to get as many points as possible. Also there is a dash, said Present Mike before he was cut off, but someone. Excuse me, right here on this pamphlet it shows that there are 4 robots, not 3. If this is a mistake on your way, it is truly an embarrassment to the system, yelled someone near the bottom rows. Also you. The ones with the blonde hair in buns and the kid with yellow and red hair. You two have been talking this whole time. If you aren't gonna take this seriously, then leave. Izuku glared at him and decided to take a note out of Katsuki's book. Why don't you shut up? My friend here was simply saying she wondered what the test was, and I was muttering because I was making strategies. Also, if you would have let Present Mike finish and look at your pamphlet, you'd see the 4th robot is an obstacle that won't give you points. And finally, if me and her who were talking amongst ourselves bothers you, then you'll see being a hero, said Izuku sitting down. The teen was about to respond before Present Mike spoke up. He's right, if you let me finish talking you'd have learned it was an obstacle. The teen had his head down and sat down looking at the floor in shame. Anyways, like I was saying, the 4th one is worth 0 points and is an obstacle, nothing less. Also, if you look at your papers you'll see that all of you have a zone assigned to you. Now let's go plus ultra, said Present Mike. Everyone yelled plus ultra before they all started leaving the building heading to their own zones. Izuku got A, while Katsuki got D, Himiko got B and Ochako C. Izuku was doing some stretches when he noticed a girl with orange hair in a side ponytail that had teal-colored eyes was trying to calm herself down. He decided to offer her help and head over to see if she was okay when he felt a firm hand on his shoulder. If you're planning to sabotage her, I'd suggest not to, as you can see she's true to concentrate, yelled the same teen from the auditorium. Dude, what's your problem? I didn't do anything to you and you go after me. I was gonna go and see if she was alright, so leave me alone. And while you're at it, pull that stick out of your butt and stop acting like you know everything, said Izuku as he took his arm off himself and walked away. Before Izuku could get near her, he saw the gates opening and blasted off heading into the city. Everyone looked at him confused while the teen with blue hair and glasses shook his head in disappointment. Hey, what are you all doing? There's no go in a real fight now. Follow that kid and go go go, yelled Present Mike, making everyone run into the city. When they ran in, the first thing they saw was lots of destroyed robots that looked like they were melted or punched apart. Deeper in the city, Izuku flew over a big group of 3-pointers and used one of his special moves. Like the fireball he shoots out of his mouth, he brought his fingers to his mouth and shot lots of small fireball. All the fireball hit the 3-pointers and destroyed them. Alright, that's 57 points, that should be more than enough, but knowing that sadistic rat, he'd want me to surpass my brother, said Izuku, running off to find more points. As he continued to run, he saw a kid with purple hair and tired-looking eyes was struggling, so he decided to help him. Izuku flew over to the robot and grabbed its head and melted it, destroying the robot instantly. Great, another person with a strong blessed quirk, said the teen with a glare which made Izuku raise an eyebrow. I'm guessing your quirk isn't combat-oriented. So what is it? Maybe I can help, said Izuku, receiving a look of shock from him. Brainwash, and it's pretty self-explanatory, said the teen. Wow, that's cool. With a quirk like that you'd be an amazing hero. You would be perfect for hostage situations, said Izuku. But I see what you mean. Here, let me help. Izuku walked over to Robot and ripped off a couple different parts and used his flames to weld them together and made a crude axe. It's not much, but this should help you. Aim for the arms and joints of the 1 and 2 pointers, they'll be the easiest. And I hope to see you in the hero course, said Izuku before remembering he didn't ask for his name. Hitoshi Shinso. And thanks, I hope to see you there as well also, said Shinso as he walked away before he stopped. Thank you for not calling me a villain. After that he ran off towards a group of 1-pointers. Izuku smiled and ran off looking for more robots and to help others in the city. In a dark room sat the staff of UA and a couple of guests, with one being Izuku's grandma and the others being Maruko and Ryukyu. Why the hell was I called here? This is so stupid, said Maruko as she tapped her foot on the ground in annoyance. Sigh, because the principal asked us to see this year's CRP of New Heroes Rumi. He also asked us to give our opinion on the new possible students, said Ryukyu. I should have said. Fox. Do you have extra pencils and pens? Asked Nana, watching Izuku grab his backpack. Yes. Do you have tissues? Yes. Condoms? Ye grandma, yelled Izuku, whose face exploded red with his hair catching on fire in embarrassment. What's wrong? I'm sure your girlfriends wouldn't complain, said Nana, teasing him even more. I don't have any girlfriends, said Izuku, trying to force his blush down. Yet, said Nana, ignoring his slight glare. I have to go, grandma, bye. Love you, said Izuku, walking to the door. Izuku, I'm proud of you, said Nana, smiling proudly at him. Thank you, grandma, and I know, said Izuku, leaving the house and heading towards where his friends were. Izuku, said 𝗵𝗃𝗃, jumping over the gate and hugging him with enough strength to make all might sweat. It didn't help that the angle they were at, she was suffocating him with her bub. 𝗵𝗃𝗃, you're strangling him, said Katsuki. Oh, sorry, said 𝗵𝗃𝗃, jumping down and had a small blush on her face. It's okay, said very flustered Izuku before he started walking away. Come on, we better get to you or we'll be late. That's one big but door, said Mei, looking at the door her friends were gonna enter for hero course. Well, I gotta go, so bye. She quickly hugged Izuku before she ran off. Well, let's head in, said Izuku, who opened the door and was met with an interesting sight. The blue-haired teen he met at the entrance exam was yelling at someone with yellow hair and a black bolt of lightning in his hair. You shouldn't sit in chairs backwards, it disrespects past students who once sat here, yelled the blue-haired teen while hand-chopping. What? Dude, come on, chill, it's not hurting anyone, said the yellow-haired teen. That's not the points, said the teen before he pointed to someone with what looked like the head of a bird. And you shouldn't be sitting on the desk. Let's stay away from that freak, said Katsuki as he walked away, with the others nodding in agreement, hoping to stay away from him. As they all went to their own desks, which were far away from the blue-haired teen, Izuku noticed in the back was the person he helped in the exam. Hey Shinso, I see you made it in here, said Izuku, walking up to him. Oh yeah, if it wasn't for you I wouldn't have, so thanks. Sorry, I don't know you named, said Shinso. Oh, my name is Izuku Shimura and it's nice to meet you again, said Izuku. It's good to see you again, Shimura, said Momo, walking up to him with a small smile. Oh, hello Yaoyorozu, it's good seeing you as well. Oh, Todoroki, hi, said Izuku. Hello Shimura, said Shoko, walking up to him, then holding out her hand and small flame appeared in it. I've been using my flames like you showed me, and you were right, they truly are appealing. Izuku smiled at seeing that, but before he could, he was interrupted by a voice he hasn't heard in a while. If you're here to make friends, then I suggest you leave, said Aizawa as he slowly stood up from his sleeping bag and walked into the classroom. It took you 8 seconds to shut up, we'll have to work on that. The entire class quickly ran to their seats and sat down and watched Aizawa get in front of his desk with the same deadpan expression. Good, now put these uniforms on so I can go and test you, said Aizawa, who pulled out a bunch of uniforms and put them on his table. You have 10 minutes to get to the training field or else. The class grabbed their uniforms and ran off to the changing rooms, where they all quickly changed and ran to the training field. 8 minutes, I'll let it pass this time because this is your first day here, but next time be faster. As heroes you can't mess around, said Aizawa. Now I'm gonna have you all do a bunch of tests to gauge and see if you belong here, and if you don't do good I'll expel you. Everyone looked very concerned but determined and hoping that they'll pass. Shimura, you got first place, so you'll go first, said Aizawa, throwing the ball to him, which he caught. Throw the ball as far as you can from that circle and use your quirk. Izuku nodded and walked to the circle and took in a deep breath before he brought his arm up and stretched the muscle. So how far you think I can throw it, Fox? Thought Izuku. A decent distance, at least I'd probably say about 2 miles at least, as long as the ball doesn't burn up, said Fox from inside Izuku's mind. Izuku brought his arm back and concentrated his flames in his hand before he shot it forward, using his flames and strength to send it far. The entire class brought up their arms to protect themselves from the shock wave and heat blast from Izuku's throw. Everyone watched as the ball soar into the sky and quickly disappear through the clouds. They all waited patiently for Aizawa to tell them how far he threw it. After a couple more seconds they heard a beep. Aizawa looked down at his phone and couldn't help but smiled too. 7 miles. Holy 𝗧𝗃𝗃, that was so manly, said Kirishima with stars in his eyes. That was awesome, Aizu, said 𝗵𝗃𝗃, jumping up and down. Good job, Deku, said Katsuki with a massive smirk. Alright, that's enough, let's continue on with the test, said Izuku. The rest of the class got in line and all threw the ball, with most doing very good but getting nowhere near Izuku's record until 𝗧𝗧𝗏 walked up. 𝗧𝗏𝗍𝗍, said some of the students in shock. Well, yeah, with her quirk she can nullify gravity on anything she touches, so 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗃, said Izuku before he broke off into a muttering storm. Everyone near him took a step back as they watched words start piling up on the ground from everything he was saying. They then saw a ball of flames form on his shoulder and a appealing bird sit on his shoulder before the bird smacked the back of his head. Oh. Fox y dash. Oh, I went into another muttering storm, didn't I? Said Izuku in embarrassment. Yes, and it was starting to scare some of the class, said Fox. Everyone looked at Fox in amazement before one student started yelling. 𝗵𝗵𝗃, you shouldn't be bringing pets to school, it will look bad on UA's record. Yelled Ida. He isn't my pet, Ida, he's part of my quirk, it's a sentient quirk, said Izuku, getting really annoyed with his attitude. Oh, I see, but still you shouldn't have him out, it might look bad on UA's name. Izuku just ignored him and walked away before he was interrupted by someone who had the head of a bird. So you have a sentient quirk as well, said 𝗧𝗏𝗏 with his quirk activating and Dark Shadow appearing. Hello, I'm Dark Shadow. Fox looked at Dark Shadow for a moment before he smiled, and my name is Fox. It's quite nice to meet another sentient quirk. The rest of the tests continued with Izuku getting first place in them all, shocking the most of the class for how strong and talented he is. Alright, I'm gonna put up your ranks on the board because it'd be too troublesome to tell you them all, said Izuku. 1. Izuku 𝗵𝗵𝗃. 2. Momo Yaoyorozu. 3. Katsuki Bakugo. 4. Shoka Todoroki. 5. 𝗵𝗃𝗃 𝗃𝗏𝗃. 6. Tenya Ida. 7. Ijiro Kirishima. 8. Himiko Toga. 9. Mizo Shoji. 10. Mashiro Ojiro. 11. Mina Ishido. 12. Ochako Uraraka. 13. Hitoshi Shinso. 14. Rikido Sato. 15. Tfuyu Azui. 16. Yuga Aoyama. 17. Hantasiro. 18. Kyokajiro. 19. Denki Kaminari. 20. Toru Hagakure. Oh, and the expelled thing was a logical ruse to make you all try harder. Also, your syllabus and schedule are on my desk in the classroom. Go and get them, then you can go home. I'm gonna go and... No, there are only 2 interesting ones, one of them being that kid with the explosions and the other is the one with the red and yellow hair. Said Miruko, watching those 2 teens destroy everything in their path. As they continued talking, everyone was watching the screens, seeing all the students, but one of them was keeping particular attention to one candidate. I must say, 𝗵𝗵𝗃-san, your grandson is doing amazing and he is well on his way to becoming a great hero, said Nezu. Thank you, Nezu. Izuku has been training strong for this so he can become a hero like me and Toshi, said Nana. Well, I do believe it's time to spice things up a bit, said Nezu as he pushed a big red button that said don't push. That makes 94 points, that should be more than enough, said Izuku before he felt the city start to rumble. He looked over and saw a massive robot that was as tall as the buildings next to it and was heading towards him. Izuku started to run away till he heard someone yell in pain. He turned around and saw that orange-haired girl was pinned by a massive piece of rubble. Before he even knew it, he generated flames on his feet and rocketed down towards her as fast as he can. Kendo was struggling to get the piece of rubble off her broken leg that was crushing it. Damn it. Why did I have to overexert my quirk just now, thought Kendo as she kept struggling. She looked back at the robot that was getting close very fast and accepted her fate. Mom. Dad, I'm sorry, thought Kendo before she felt very warm. She looked up and saw someone with a pair of flaming wings standing in front of her and reaching to the piece of rubble. He lifted it right off of her and picked her up and started flying away from the robot. Izuku gently put her down on the ground a couple blocks away from the 0-pointer and looked back at it and started walking towards it. Don't go there, you'll get hurt, said Kendo, trying to save the man who just saved her. What kind of hero would I be if I didn't stop it? That robot is rampaging through the city and I'm not gonna let it continue, said Izuku before he flew off towards it. Izuku flew up to robot and landed in front of it and looked at it, getting ready to destroy it. Ready Fox, let's show this world the power of the phoenix, said Izuku as he raised one arm to it and used the other to brace it. I was born ready Izuku, let's do this, said Fox as he sent a massive amount of his untapped power to Izuku, making his flames even more powerful. Izuku created a small jet of flames in his hand that was hissing and was slowly growing in power as he kept containing it. All of the UA staff and guests had their eyes on the screen that Izuku was on and was wondering what he will do. Principal, you're about to see a portion of Izuku's true power that he hasn't fully tapped into, said Nana, smiling. Nezu looked beyond intrigued and leaned forward into his seat so he could get a better look. Fire God's flame! Screamed Izuku as he sent a massive wave of flames that were so powerful and big they destroyed everything in its path. The flames reached the same height of the 0-pointer and were already melting it even though it hasn't touched it. The flames hit it and quickly destroyed it along with a couple buildings nearby. After 30 seconds he let up and saw a massive pile of melted metal and what was left of a couple buildings. Everyone was completely speechless for what they just saw. No one could believe that someone was that powerful and able to something like that. Back in the observation room, everyone had their jaws on the ground. Even Nezu was shocked but started laughing like a madman. The only ones not affected were Nana and All Might, with him laughing his butt off. They were all interrupted when Aizawa spoke. I want him in my class, Nezu. Everyone looked at him shocked, but Nezu nodded his head. Done, and from what Nana told me, maybe I can teach him as well, said Nezu, making everyone go pale. Nezu, no, we don't need two of you, said Midnight, hoping he'd listen. Oh, don't worry, it'll be fine. Besides, I looked at his records and I finally might have a protege, said Nezu. Back at the testing grounds, Izuku was walking towards Kendo to make sure she was okay. Hey, are you alright? Said Izuku, hoping she wasn't hurt. Oh. Why, just a broken leg, but that was amazing, said Kendo. Thanks, and here, let me help you to Recovery Girl, said Izuku, noticing her in the distance. Izuku walked up to Kendo and gently picked her up in a princess carry, making her blush, and walked to Recovery Girl. Elsewhere in Yume, Ochako, Himiko, Momo, and Shoka felt a sudden twinge of jealousy and a urge to hunt down a girl with orange hair. Granny Chio, she's hurt and needs to be healed, said Izuku, gently putting Kendo down on the ground. Recovery Girl walked up to her and her broken leg and watched as a green hue covered it and healed it. Kendo felt very tired all of a sudden and fell asleep. Izuku was about to offer to help when Recovery Girl shook her head. You head home, dear, don't worry, I can handle it from here. Izuku nodded and left, heading to the entrance/exit of UA to wait for his friends and hoping himself and them passed and would all be in class together. Fuck! Screamed Katsuki, glaring at the TV. Kaken, no need to be getting so angry, even though the butt is annoying, said Izuku. Bullshit, I have every right to be getting angry. The game developers need to fix this game. But no, instead they nerf characters that don't need it and make characters that need to be nerfed stronger, said Katsuki. It can't fix it. Well, you're not wrong about that, said Izuku. So did you get your letter yet? It's been a week. No, but it should be here any time this week, said Katsuki. Alright, Izuku was cut off when he heard someone knocking on his door. Sorry Kaken, gotta go, my grandma needs me. Yeah, whatever, I'm gonna try and find a better hero versus villains match, said Katsuki. Izuku turned off his mic, then walked over to his door and opened it and saw Nana standing there holding an envelope for him. Your UA letter is here, Izuku, said Nana, handing him it. Thanks, Grandma, said Izuku as he took it and went over to his desk and opened it. He was met by a small metal disc and ended up being a projector. I am here as a projection to give you good news, yelled All Might. Sorry I have been silent, but you're looking at UA's new faculty member. What? Oh wait, I have to do how many of these? Izuku couldn't help but chuckle as he saw a storm cloud form over his brother's head when he heard that he'll have to do 200 more. Ahem. Anyways, like I was going to say, you did a very good job and you got yourself 95 villain points originally. But after we rewatched the footage, we found out that you actually got 113 villain points. But that's not all. You went out of your way to help others and save many more, especially after you took out the 0-pointer. And because of that you also received 140 hero points. In total you have 253 points, which beat my own record by 50. So welcome, young 𝗵𝗃 to your hero academia, said All Might before the projection turned off. Izuku leaned back in his seat with a massive smile on his face. I finally did it, Mom, in one step closer to becoming a hero. I'm proud of you, Izuku, said Fox, appearing on his shoulder. Thank you, Fox, said Izuku as he wiped a tear from his eye. It's time to show this world the power of the Phoenix. Indeed it is, and we shall, Izuku said. Take a nap, then deal with a rat that has a god complex, said Aizawa, walking away. Wow, that was kinda scary, said Mina as she fell on her but on the ground. I have to agree with you, Mina, it was scary, said Kirishima. Of course it was a lie. Maybe I should have told you all that, said Momo, feeling slightly bad now. Oh, he wasn't lying, he would have kicked any of us out without a second thought if he thought we didn't show potential, said Izuku, shocking the class. I mean, from what my brother told me, he kicked out his entire class last year on day 1. Everyone looked at him begging that he was wrong. Plus, knowing him, he'll hold all of you up to that standard all year long, so don't slack off too much, said Izuku. 𝗵𝗃, you're smart, right? Can you help me with class stuff that I struggle in, please? Said Mina while giving him puppy dog eyes. Why does everyone woman I know have this OP ability? Thought Izuku. Another mystery of the universe, said Fox mentally. Izuku and his group of friends were all standing at the entrance of UA waiting for Mei to come since she got held up by a lecture from her teacher about exploding the class. With them were some new friends, or extras as Katsuki calls them, but was met by a smack to the back of the head by Izuku and Himiko. Shoko was standing towards the back of the group staring off in space, and Momo was chatting with Himiko about something. Kirishima was talking to Katsuki like they were buddies, and Mina was talking with Ochako. The last of the new group was ●𝗏, which Izuku dragged in, but he didn't seem to protest it at all. Sorry you guys had to wait so long, I was getting lectured by the teacher about blowing up the class, said Mei with some of her hair still frayed by the explosion. It's alright, Mei, no harm done, said Izuku happily, which she smiled more brightly. Good, cause I got some great ideas for babies for you, said Mei, which made all the new friends freeze. Babies, said Shoko, feeling jealous and flustered for some reason. 𝗏𝗏, aren't you a little young to be a dad? Said Momo while blushing. Oh, you have to forgive her, she calls her inventions babies, said Himiko. Besides, me and Zuzu aren't gonna have babies till we get married, said Mei, making Izuku spit take. What? Yelled Izuku as his hair caught on fire. Ha ha ha. Mei should just do it now before someone else takes him, said Katsuki, which got him a punch from Izuku. Sir, I'm sorry we lost her, she got away, said a man wearing a bird mask, but then his body exploded in blood and gore. Someone clean this mess up and find her, said a man with a bird mask and was cleaning the blood off him with a rag. Yes, overhaul search, said a subordinate. When I find you, Eri, I'm gonna kill you and put you back together to the point your brain can't handle it anymore, said overhaul. In another part of the city, a little girl with white hair and red eyes and had bandages all over her was running away and trying to find a place to hide. Everyone was sitting in class waiting for the teacher for hero studies to show up. As they were waiting, Himiko walked over to Izuku. I'm thirsty, said Himiko, placing her head on his shoulder. You know you don't have to ask, Himiko. You've been doing this for over 10 years now, said Izuku, smiling but had a small blush. I know, but I just wanted to ask in case, said Himiko as she loosened his tie and undid one of the buttons on his shirt to expose his shoulder. She leaned down, opening her mouth to expose her teeth, and bit his shoulder at the base of his neck. Everyone in the room that wasn't familiar with her looked at her, shocked that she would just go and bite Izuku, and he didn't seem to care. Toga, doing something like that is highly inappropriate for UA, and you should stop immediately. Yelled Ida. Shut the F up, 4 eyes. It's a side effect of her quirk and she has to drink blood to help her, said Katsuki. Everyone nodded, but they heard some slight and saw that Himiko was blushing and slightly. Izuku's face exploded in red when she did that. When he started to get stronger, she told him that his blood tastes even sweeter. It was quite safe to say she quickly became addicted and only drank his blood unless something came up. I am coming through the door like a hero, yelled All Might, opening the door and looking over the class. All Might sensei, please tell Toga to stop doing this, it's inappropriate, yelled Ida, starting to annoy everyone at this point. Hey dumbass, it's a side effect, so lay off her, said Jiro. Indeed it is. All of the staff was informed of it and will allow young Toga to drink young 𝗏𝗏's blood, said All Might. Ahem, but anyways, today we will be doing battle training. Everyone looked very excited and couldn't help but start smiling. "Thanks for the meal, Izu," said 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗏 as she got done drinking his BLD. She decided to be bold at the part where she bit him. Izuku's body started to emit a lot of heat from this and for some reason could hear his grandma and Nezu laughing at his expense. "Okay. But to be a hero you need to look the part," said All Might as he pushed a button and the wall opened up revealing lots of suitcases. "Grab your suitcase and head to the training area I have for us. Now I need to disappear like a dad getting cigarettes." After that he bolted out of the room faster than should be possible. Ida quickly grabbed his suitcase and started running after All Might while yelling, "We shouldn't be smoking, it's bad for Dash." Everyone was glad when they couldn't hear him anymore and all went and grabbed their cases. And everyone's costume is same as in canon except Katsuki and Izuku. Ochako's is her later costume in Season 5. Shoka's is the same as in canon but without the ice on her left side. "Look at all of you. You all look like heroes," said All Might looking over the entire class. Of course we are planning to become heroes and I'm gonna be number 1," said Katsuki. He wore a long-sleeve black muscle shirt with some orange lines that looked like a big X on his tee. He had a pair of massive gauntlets with the right one looking like a 6-shot revolver and the left one looking like a grenade. "With how much you yell, you'll make everyone go deaf before then," said 𝗫𝗄 walking by him. 𝗫𝗄 wore a dark purple costume with black accents on it and had a voice changer mask on his face. He also had a pair of 𝗧𝗵𝗲 sticks on his back. "Do fuck you say," screamed Katsuki. "Oh come on Katsuki, he isn't completely wrong," said Ochako. "Yeah, he's actually kinda on the march," said 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗏 with a big cat-like grin on her face. She wore a black bodysuit with red accents on it and had patches with body armor sewn on. She also had a bunch of throwing knives on her utility belt and on her thighs. The last thing she had was a mask that covered her lower half of her face that had what looked like smiling teeth on them, and a wakizashi attached to the back of her utility belt. "Great! Now has anyone seen young 𝗵𝗃𝗏𝗏?" asked All Might looking around. "Sorry I'm late. May forgot something and had to deliver it to me beforehand," said Izuku running out of the tunnel. His costume was also a black skin-tight suit but he is flames active and made it stand out. His forearms, legs and back looked covered in flames and he had a pair of massive flaming wing on his back. Izuku wore a simple respirator-type mask that covered the lower half of his face. "He looks really good," said Ochako quietly with a small blush before she had to quickly grab 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗏 who was trying to jump him. "Wow bro, your costume is amazing," said Kirishima walking up to him before noticing his flames weren't hot. "Wow, is it just me or are your flames not hot at all?" "Oh, I have complete control of fire so I can adjust the temperature of my flames to whatever I wanted. I can make them as hot at the sun or as cold as -50°F. If I wanted to I can also change the color or the shape of my flames to anything I want," said Izuku. That's so manly," yelled Kirishima with stars in his eyes. "I must say, 𝗵𝗃𝗏𝗏, your costume does look quite good on you," said Momo with a small blush as she saw his well-defined muscles. Across the room Shoka kept giving quick glances but tried to hide it. "Great, now that we are all here we can begin battle training," said All Might who then pulled out a script. "Oh my god Toshi," thought Izuku watching his older brother figure. "The situation is that the villains and gotten a nuclear bomb and placed it somewhere in the building and is planning to nuke the city. The heroes will have to infiltrate the building and either touch the bomb or defeat the villains. The villains will have to either beat the heroes or stall them till the timer goes off," said All Might. "This seems pretty American," said Tsu. "Well, he is a Japanese/American hero, so," said Mina. "All Might sensei, what about the rules? As a hero we must always follow them to the letter," yelled Ida, starting to get on the class's nerves. Oh, nothing crippling or that could severely hurt someone," said All Might making a mental note to tell Nezu about Ida. "Now all you draw lots and let's see who's teamed up with who." Everyone started to grab lots and then called out their numbers. "Hey 𝗵𝗃𝗏𝗏 bro, I guess we're partners," said Kirishima walking up to him. "Sweet dude, let's win this," said Izuku as both of them fist bumped. Team A consisting of Izuku 𝗵𝗃𝗏𝗏 and Ijiro Kirishima versus Team D consisting of Katsuki Bakugo and Shoka Todoroki, said All Might. Both teams looked at each other with Katsuki cracking his knuckles and excitement. Team D shall be the villains and will enter the building first and set up the bomb while Team A waits for me to say start, said All Might. Katsuki and Shoka left and Izuku and Kirishima left as well and stood outside the building to begging planning. So who do you think is gonna win? Asked Denki looking at the screens. Depends on who gets the first strike, said Tokoyami. Aizu is gonna win, said Himiko bouncing up and down. As much faith as I have in Katsuki, I'm sure Deku is gonna beat him again, said Ochako. All Might, are we allowed to bet? Asked Denki. You lose your money, that's on you, said All Might. All Might sensei, we shouldn't be betting. I doesn't look good, oh heroes, to do things like that, yelled Ida. I'm Ida and I follow all the rules and have a 30-foot log shoved up my butt sideways, said Shinso in Ida's voice, making the class laugh. Shinso-dash, yelled Ida before his eyes went blank. Good, now go over there to the corner and start dancing like a ballerina, said Shinso as the whole class watched Ida start dancing. All Might sensei, is this allowed? Asked Momo, trying not to sound like Ida. As long as he isn't hurting him, I see absolutely nothing happening, said All Might, making the students start to like him more. I think All Might is gonna my favorite teacher, said Mina. So Bakugo, how strong is Shimura? Said Shoka looking at her partner for the training session. We have to take him out immediately, that's how strong Deku is, said Katsuki doing some push-ups to build up sweat. So what's the plan then, said Shoka. Hit them fast and strong, don't let Deku think or we're doomed, said Katsuki. Remember the plan, Kirishima, said Izuku, waiting for the starting signal. Got it, bro, let's just hope this worked, said Kirishima. Hero teams, you may enter the building now, said All Might over the intercom. Izuku and Kirishima headed inside the building. They started to climb up through the building and soon reached the second floor. Wait, whispered Izuku as he created a small flame in his hand. Not even a second later, Katsuki rounded the corner and sent a massive explosion at them. Izuku quickly created a wall of fire and stopped the explosion from hitting them. As the explosion was nullified behind them, Shoka rounded the corner and sent a massive wave of ice at them. Kirishima quickly activated his quirk and got behind Izuku and took the hit for him. Thanks, Kirishima. How long do you think you can hold her off? Asked Izuku. Not long, she's stupid OP like you and Bakubro, said Kirishima. Blame my 𝗧𝗵𝗲 said Shoka with a blank stare. Alright Kirishima, just do your best, that's all I can ask, said Izuku, ready to go kakin. I was born ready Deku, said Katsuki. They both charged at each other with Izuku creating flames in his feet to launch him, while Katsuki created explosions in his hands. Katsuki got near Izuku and swung his arm down hoping to use an explosive punch but was blocked when Izuku dodged it and countered with a kick. His kick was blocked by Katsuki's freed hand and both of them pushed off each other. Izuku created a quick stream of fire and sent it to Katsuki and quickly launched himself at him as well. Katsuki created a quick explosion to block the flame before he pulled in his pinky and ring finger on his right hand and fired the gauntlet. Izuku cleared the smoke screen from the explosion and was met by another explosion that sent him through the wall near him. Come on Deku, let's get wild, said Katsuki as he charged at Izuku. Izuku smirked and used the leftover embers on the ground and created some flame that launched out and grabbed Katsuki, restraining him. What? Said Katsuki looking at the flame holding both his arms. He was knocked out of his shock when Izuku's boot slammed into his face. He then felt one of the pull him away and throw him down the wall where he smacked against it. I hate that you can do that. And I hate that you're basically a walking explosive factory and somehow not make yourself deaf, said Izuku. Izuku quickly charged at Katsuki and sent a flaming punch at him which he blocked, but the force behind it broke his defense and Izuku's fist to his face. Katsuki reacted quickly and created an explosion in his hand and sent it towards Izuku, but Izuku was faster and moved his flaming wing to protect himself. They both stared at each other and smiled before they sent massive attacks towards each other. Izuku's flames struggled to get past Katsuki's constant bombardment of explosions and were both in a deadlock. But soon Izuku's flames started to overpower Katsuki's explosions and started to get closer to him. Damn it, thought Katsuki, who quickly rolled out of the way watching the flames melt through the concrete. He looked up and saw 8 small fireballs heading towards him and started using his explosions to fly away as they chased him. 𝗧𝗵𝗃 turned a quick corner and sent a bunch of explosions destroying the fireball. "I must say, 𝗧𝗵𝗃, you are doing amazing," said Fox, standing perched on some rubble. Fox. "What are you doing here?" asked 𝗧𝗵𝗃, raising his guard. "For this," said Fox, before the ground under 𝗧𝗵𝗃 broke and Izuku's fist slammed into his chin, sending him through the floor above. 𝗧𝗵𝗃 flew up and slammed back on the ground, completely disorientated. He saw Izuku walk up to him with quirk cuffs and cuff him. You got the drop on me that time. But next time I'll win, so our score will be even again," said 𝗧𝗵𝗃. "Kaken, it's now 53-49, you'll have to win a couple extra to get tied," said Izuku. "I'm gonna pass out now," said 𝗧𝗵𝗃 as he face planted into the ground unconscious. "Wow, 𝗵𝗲𝗃 is doing so awesome," said Mina. "It's quite impressive," said Shinso, smiling. "Kick his butt, Izzy," yelled Himiko happily, with Ochako giggling at her antics. "I agree, I can't wait to see what he does against Todoroki since they both have fire quirks," said Ochako. "You're doing amazing, Izu, I'm so proud of you, 𝗧𝗏𝗏. 𝗵𝗃𝗲 help!" Yelled Kirishima before the sound of ice was heard. Izuku ran down, heading towards Kirishima's last known location, with Fox quickly merging into him again. Izuku soon arrived and saw that Kirishima was frozen to the ceiling and freezing. Todoroki, could you at least melt some of it so he doesn't accidentally get hypothermia?" said Izuku. Shoka nodded and placed her hand on the ice and melted all the ice around his chest and back, but left the rest on his lower half and arms. "Now let's see if my powers are stronger than yours," said Shoka. Both Izuku and Shoka stared at each other, and the tension between was only rising as Izuku started generating heat, and Shoka did the same. It wasn't long before Izuku lifted his arm and sent a massive torrent of blue flames, which were much stronger than his regular ones. Shoka sent her own massive torrent of flames, trying to overpower him. The walls around them started to melt and break from the intense heat both of them were generating. It wasn't long before Shoka started to feel herself overusing her fire side, since her tolerance hasn't been built up as high as her ice one is. Shoka quickly stopped sending out her flames and slammed her right hand on the ground and created as much ice as she could to protect herself. She looked at the ice and saw that it was melting extremely fast, and saw Izuku walking towards it before he placed his hand in the ice. It quickly started to melt even faster from where he placed his hand. Shoka decided to retreat for now, but wasn't able to when she was met by a painful punch to the gut from Kirishima, who broke out because of the heat. She quickly sent more ice towards him, which delayed him, but before she could move, a massive pair of claws made out of fire grabbed her. Shoka was quickly secured after that, and they heard All Might's voice announce the heroes won. "Good job, Todoroki, you did amazing." "Same with you, Kirishima," said Izuku. "Thank bro, but I think I should go and get Baku bro." After that he ran off to go and find him. "I'll win next time," said Shoka, looking up at him. "We'll see," said Izuku, who offered his hand to help lift her up, which she took. "His hand is warm," thought Shoka with a very tiny smile. "Now who's the MVP of match?" said All Might, looking over the class and seeing Momo raise her hand. "Yes, young Yaoyorozu. I believe it was 𝗵𝗲𝗏, sir." He knew that Bakugo would attack first and planned ahead of it while relying on his partner to help him in the match. He did try to control the battle, but fights are unpredictable and can change in a heartbeat. After he defeated Bakugo, he went and quickly joined Kirishima even and tried to end the fight quickly, said Momo. "Wow, Izuku, you're gonna like her along with the others you have, or will gain," thought All Might, casting a quick glance at the girls that like Izuku. "Couldn't have said it better myself, young Yaoyorozu." Now on to the next match, Toga and Shinso versus Iida and Shoji. Man, today was fun and exhausting," said Shinso with some bandages on his head from Iida's kick. "I enjoyed it," said Ochako, happily smiling. "So, Izuku, did you like my babies? How did they turn out?" asked May, practically millimeters away from him. "I liked the costume you made me a lot. It held together perfectly even with my extremely hot flames," said Izuku. They all continued walking for a while, heading to Izuku's house to hang. They passed a alley and someone numbered into Izuku and fell to the ground. When Izuku looked, he saw that it was a little girl. She had long dirty white hair and ruby red eyes and a small bronze horn on her forehead. "Are you okay?" asked Izuku, leaning down to the scared little girl. He noticed that she was covered in bandages and looked like she hasn't eaten in a while. Eri looked at the man scared for her life, but some part of her felt that she would be safe with him. Izuku gave her a warm smile and extended his hand to her. "My name is 𝗧𝗵𝗲, what's yours?" "Eri," said the little girl named Eri as she slowly took his hand. She didn't know why, but she felt warm and safe when she held it, as if nothing can ever hurt her again. "Well, Eri, are you okay?" said Izuku as he knelt down and gently placed his hand on the top of her head. She immediately flinched, thinking he was gonna hurt her. But instead she was met by a warm hand gently rubbing her head. For as long as she could remember, she never felt this feeling before. Izuku went to take his hand off her head when she quickly grabbed his hand and put it back on her head. "Who could hurt such a innocent-looking girl?" said Ochako, looking at all the bandages on her along with how skinny she was. "We should call the police," said Shinso, looking horrified that someone would hurt a little kid. "There you are, Eri, a very large, muscular man with long, light brown hair, with his face hidden beneath the plague mask. Sorry for my daughter bothering you. Come on, Eri, let's go." Izuku didn't believe him for a second because he could sense his negative emotions and true feelings thanks to his heavenly flames. "Then why does she seem so scared to go to you?" said Izuku. "Because she was scolded," said 𝗵𝗲, slightly annoyed. "And her injuries?" said Izuku. "She's clumsy, but don't worry, we have a doctor to heal her," said 𝗵𝗲. Izuku immediately felt nothing but pure fear coming from Eri when he said that, and also felt her start shaking. He slowly bent down and whispered in her ear, "Did he hurt you?" Eri slowly nodded her head, and that was all the confirmation he needed. "Look, kid, I tried being nice, but I'm only going to tell you once," said 𝗵𝗲. "So you can hurt her again. I don't know who you are, but I feel nothing but pure fear coming from her thanks to my quirk. So why don't we take this up with the police?" said Izuku. All of Izuku's friends were getting ready to fight while 𝗵𝗃 sent a SOS message to All Might before she got ready as well. "Fine, then I guess I'll have to kill you all," said 𝗵𝗲. "Stay here, Eri," said Izuku before he disappeared in a burst of speed and reappeared with his right fist in 𝗵𝗲's stomach. 𝗵𝗲 bent over and puked out his lunch from that one punch. "If there is one thing in this world I truly hate, it's child abusers," said Izuku. 𝗵𝗲 clenched his teeth and reared back his fist and tried to punch Izuku, only for him to grab his hand like it was nothing. "What the F?" said 𝗵𝗲 in shock. But before he could do anything else, he was met by a fist that sent him flying down the alley and slamming into a dumpster unconscious. "Thank God he underestimated me," said Izuku with a sigh before he felt someone hug his leg tightly. He looked down and saw Eri was holding onto his leg like a lifeline and was shaking. "Damn it, I wanted to fight that 𝗬𝗲𝗍𝗪," grumbled Katsuki. "Maybe next time, Katsuki," said Mei. "I am here," yelled All Might, who landed on the ground and looked like he was ready to take on Japan by himself. "A little late, All Might, but thanks, we could use your help," said Katsuki, who then started to explain the situation. "I see, well, don't worry, since you were protecting that little girl, I'll just say I took out the villain," said All Might. "Thank you, All Might," said Izuku. Izuku and his friends were all at the local police station waiting for their parents or guardians. As they were, Izuku was holding Eri, who refused to let go no matter what and wouldn't let the doctor get near her. He looked down at the girl who was sitting in his lap and was gently rubbing circles in her back to make her feel better. "Izuku, are you okay?" asked Nana, coming in and seeing her grandson. "Yeah, Grandma, I'm okay. It's her I'm worried about," said Izuku, gesturing to Eri. She refuses to let go of him, and the one instant they did she was panicking before he quickly came back," said 𝗵𝗃. "Size, in simple terms, she's imprinted on you. She views you as the only safe place on the world. It's common for people who faced extremely traumatic experiences to latch onto someone who showed them kindness and not let go," said Nana. "In her years as a hero, she's seen it countless times, but seeing this girl, she doesn't even know what kind of hell she went through. So what should we do?" said Izuku. "Take her home with you," said Mei. "And Mei, I can't just do that," said Izuku. "Why not?" "I can't just bring her home with me, I'm a complete stranger," said Izuku. "Well, honey, you might not have a choice, because if we separate you two, she'll start to panic and not trust anyone most likely," said Nana. "I agree, and that's why I was able to convince my boss to allow it, plus who your brother and grandma are helped convince him," said Tsukachi. "All right, well, Eri, I guess you're coming home with me," said Izuku gently. Eri didn't understand what he meant but nodded her head, As long as she's with him she doesn't care because he makes her feel safe. Even though she just met him she knows he is the only safe place for her. Alright, well, how about you head home, Izuku, while I finish talking to the police, okay? Said Nana. Okay, Grandma, said Izuku before he stood up while picking Eri up and carrying her. Alright guys, I'll probably see you tomorrow. Get home safe. He waved to them before he headed out the door. Bye Izuku, Deku, 𝗵𝗃, said his friends as they all waved goodbye to him. Okay Eri, we're home, said Izuku entering his house and looking down at her. Alright, I'll go and get you a bath ready, and why don't you have a quick look around? Eri nodded but didn't move and still held on to his hand. Eri, you can let go, said Izuku gently before he realized his mistake. WhatIf, please don't go, said Eri as she tightly squeezed Izuku's hand, thinking he was going to leave her, and started to cry. Before Izuku realized it, he quickly scooped her up in a hug and gently rubbed her back as she continued to cry. No, I'm not leaving you, okay, said Izuku gently before he started to walk towards his room to find something for her to wear. After a couple minutes he found an old shirt of his and an old pair of sports shorts for her. He headed to the bathroom and started to run a bath with one hand because she was still holding on to the other one. Okay Eri, the bath is ready, said Izuku. He noticed the dirty bandages still on her because she wouldn't let the doctors or nurses near her. Okay, I'm gonna have to take these off along with your shirt so I can help clean you, okay? Eri grabbed her arms in fear because of all the scars on them. With these you'll be seen as a monster, the same one that killed your father, said 𝗳𝗏 in her head. Izuku noticed that she didn't want to at first, so decided to gently coax her into it. How about we get you in the bath, then we take them off? Eri simply nodded and let Izuku take her shirt off before he gently picked her up and put her in the bathtub. Izuku reached over and grabbed the shampoo and put it in her hair and started to work all the grim out of it while also keeping it out of her eyes. Soon he was done and washed it out before he lifted up one of her arms to start undoing the bandages. As all of this was happening, Eri was tightly holding onto his shirt and only let go for a moment for him to clean her arm, then immediately grabbed it again. What kind of monster could do this to a little girl, thought Izuku as he very gently cleaned her arms to no hurt her because of the scars. After a 40-minute-long bath to make sure she was clean, he took her out and dried her off before he handed her some clothes. 𝗬𝗏 bandages, said Eri, not wanting to see her scars or him end up being disgusted with her because of them. Izuku smiled and grabbed some bandages before he started to wrap them up on her arms. After that he took her hand and led her to the kitchen where Nana was making some dinner. Hey, dinner is almost done, you two, said Nana, who decided to make a simple dinner of fish and rice with some veggies. Thank you, Grandma, said Izuku, who picked Eri up and put her on one of the chairs, and he sat next to her and pulled her closer so she could still hold him. Nana, who was watching this from the corner of her eye, couldn't help but smile at seeing Izuku's natural father instincts kicking in even though he didn't know it. Alright, you two, dinner is done, said Nana, placing the food down before she sat down and started eating after a quick prayer. Izuku was about to begin eating when he saw Eri looking at him as if asking if she was even allowed to eat. Go on, Eri, it's yours and you can have as much as you want. Eri looked at him shocked because she was allowed a lot of food. Before she was only giving enough to barely keep her alive. She tried to copy Izuku and use the chopsticks but couldn't no matter how much she tried. Here, let me help you, said Izuku as he took her chopsticks and picked up some rice and fed it to her. Good, said Eri as she finished chewing before she motioned she wanted more. Oh, I'm so telling the girls that you're gonna be a great father, thought Nana watching this and planning to mess with Izuku more. After a while they all finished eating with Eri almost falling asleep because of her full belly. You might want to take her to bed, Izuku, said Nana, watching Eri struggle to stay awake. Okay, Grandma, said Izuku as he picked her up with her immediately latching onto him. Good night, Grandma, I love you. Love you too, Izuku, said Nana. Izuku arrived in his room and gently pried Eri off of him and put her on the bed where he quickly got changed and took her to the bathroom. I know you're sleepy, but let's brush our teeth first then go to bed, said Izuku as he watched Eri sleepily nod her head. He didn't have a spare toothbrush, so he cleaned his before he gave it to her, and she looked at him confused on what to do. So he showed her how to brush her teeth, and once she was done he cleaned it and brushed his. Alright, Eri, let's go to bed, said Izuku as he picked up the almost asleep Eri and brought her to his bed. He gently laid her down before he got into the bed, where she immediately grabbed him and almost immediately falling asleep. Izuku gently rubbed the top of her head. What kind of monsters could hurt an innocent little girl, thought Izuku. I promise no one will hurt you again, Eri. He leaned down and placed a small embrace on her forehead before he went to sleep as well. All of Class 1A was at Izuku's house for a Christmas party. Nana decided to throw for everyone, and everyone brought some presents. Man, this party is gonna be so manly, said Kirishima. I do agree it is, said Katsuki. Katsuki wears Aizu, said Mei, with Himiko right behind her nodding. He's helping Eri with something. Besides, I'm not his babysitter. Don't you and his soon-to-be H.O. got something else to do? Said Katsuki, making both of them blush and the other girls in the room that like him as well. Everyone, may I present to you 𝗧𝗓𝗧𝗏, said Izuku as he stepped to the side to reveal Eri. Oh my god, that's too adorable, thought everyone in room, clenching their hearts. Wow, Eri, look how adorable you are, said Nana, walking up to her smiling. Deku helped me with it, said Eri happily. Hee, I'm sure he did, said Nana. Why don't you go hang with the class and some of the other teens that showed up while I talked to Izuku? Okay, said Eri, walking over to Himiko, who picked her up and was squealing for how cute Eri was. What's up, Grandma? Asked Izuku. They allowed it to go through, so here you are, said Nana, handing him the adoption papers. You're officially Eri's dad now. Do you think she will like it as a present? Said Izuku, scared she wouldn't. Trust me, Izuku, this will make her extremely happy, said Nana, patting his shoulder. I agree, she will definitely be happy. Whenever she is with or near you, I feel the same type of love a child gives their parents towards you, said Fox mentally. Izuku couldn't help but smile at that and nod his head. He turned around and went to the living room to have fun with all his friends. Now let's have a party, yelled Mina, jumping off the couch and pulled out a game of Twister. Okay, so who's going first? Asked Momo. How about Izuku, Himiko, Mei, and Ochako, said Katsuki with an evil grin. X seconds later. I am sorry, said Izuku as his face was in Himiko's bust and his crotch was near Ochako's butt, and his arm was touching Mei's bub. It's okay, said Ochako, blushing a storm. Hee, I'm not complaining, said Himiko, blushing. What's wrong with this? Said Mei with a massive smile. Elsewhere in the room, Katsuki was cackling like a madman and high-fived Nana. Shoka, Momo, Kendo, and Mina were pouting or scowling at this. Okay, Deku right hand greened, said Katsuki. Izuku slowly reached and lost his balance and they all fell to the ground. I hate you, Kaken, said Izuku. Thank you, Katsuki, said Himiko as she was blushing even more. Izuku quickly got out of the pile and was blushing a storm. Okay, that's enough, let's open the present for everyone, said Nana. Soon everyone was opening presents and thanking the person who gave them it. Come here, Eri, I have a present for you, said Izuku, kneeling down. Okay, said Eri as she ran up to him. Izuku reached into his pocket and pulled out a piece of paper and showed her it. Eri was able to read some of it but not all of it. Do you know what this means? Asked Izuku. No, said Eri. This right here means I'm now your dad, said Izuku with a nervous smile. Eri looked up at Izuku with tears forming in her eyes. Why, you mean I'm your daughter, said Eri. That is if you want to be. If not, then we can Sadash. Izuku was cut off when Eri ran up to him and hugged him while crying. And no, I want to be your daughter, Papach, said Eri. Izuku smiled and hugged her back with some tears in his eyes as well. Then I'll be your dad, Eri. He leaned down in her forehead. I love you, Eri. I love you too, Papach, said Eri. Everyone else in the room couldn't help but smile at the wholesome moment of the new father and daughter. The night continued on and everyone was relaxing from the long night of fun when Himiko was walking up to Izuku. Hey Izuku, said Himiko with a cat-like grin. What's up? Mistletoe, said Himiko as she pulled one up and above her. She then grabbed Izuku and pulled him down in him. Izuku went wide-eyed in shock from that, and before he could do anything, Himiko let go of him. Hee, I got your first embrace and you got mine, Izuku. I guess we have to get married now, said Himiko. Izuku's face exploded red but was caught off guard when Ochako walked over and took the mistletoe and him as well. After she let him go, Mei ran over and jumped up on him and him, almost making him fall over. What's going on in my life? Thought Izuku. Some men and women's dreams, said Fox flatly. Izuku was about to regain his senses when Mina grabbed him and him, then Momo, then Kendo and finally Shoka. As all of this was happening to Izuku, everyone else was laughing at the sight of this, especially Katsuki and Nana, who were on the ground laughing. Eri, who was watching all of this in confusion, decided to ask a question that made the whole room freeze. "If he's my papa, then who's my mom?" asked Eri innocently. All the girls stopped and looked at each other, and lighting started going towards one another. Everyone was worried that it would turn into an all-out fight, but Eri managed to save it. "But since you all like my papa, does that mean you're all my moms?" The girls stopped and looked at each other and nodded. "Yes, Eri, we are all your moms," they all said simultaneously. "Yay, I get more mommies and more love," said Eri, smiling happily, making some people pass out from cuteness overload. "Wait, did they just all agree to share me?" yelled Izuku mentally. "Yes," said Fox, "be happy, I give you a ton of stamina cause you're gonna need it to handle all of them." Izuku blushed and slammed the mental connection between them shut. "So, Eri, are you enjoying Christmas?" said Izuku, trying to change the subject. "Thank you, Papa, for the best first Christmas ever," said Eri as she ran over to him and hugged him tightly. "You're welcome, Eri," said Izuku as he picked her up and pulled her into a hug and Merry Christmas. Izuku woke up the next day and noticed a weight on his tea and saw that Eri was curled up in a ball and was tightly holding on to him. Her hands were tightly gripping his shirt, almost as if she let go he'd disappear. He smiled sadly at the thought of that and gently placed his hand on her back and rubbed her back. "It's okay, Eri, no one will ever hurt you again," said Izuku quietly as he continued to gently rub her back for a couple more minutes. He heard her mumble something but couldn't tell what she said. He looked over at the clock and noticed he had an hour and a half before school, so he sadly had to wake her up. "Eri, wake up," said Izuku as he lightly shook her. After a couple tries, she slowly woke up. She rubbed her eyes and looked up at Izuku and started to cry, which worried Izuku before she spoke. "It's not a dream, you did save me," she said as she hugged him tightly. Izuku smiled and hugged her back. "I did. Now come on, let's get you some breakfast," said Izuku as he picked her up and carried her to the kitchen. They soon arrived in the kitchen to see Nana cooking breakfast, and All Might was there reading some paperwork from UA. Izuku and young Eri, how are both of you?" asked All Might, smiling. "I'm doing good, and I think Eri is doing a little better," said Izuku as he sat down and put Eri down next to him with her scooching closer to him. "Well, that is good to hear. Oh, also Nezu was informed on the situation with her and has allowed her to come to school with you," said All Might. Izuku nodded his head. "You hear that, Eri? You'll be coming to school with me and see my friends and classmates," said Izuku. Eri didn't understand but nodded. As long as she was with him, she was okay with it. After a quick ride in Nana's car, they arrived at UA and Izuku held her hand as they walked through the halls of the school. They didn't get far before Eri started to get scared of all the other teens and gestured that she wanted to be carried. Izuku happily obliged and picked her up, with her wrapping her arms around his neck and hiding her face in his shoulder to try and hide. The passing student grabbed their tea in sheer cuteness from the sight, while some ended up passing out from it. Soon after climbing 2 flights of stairs, they arrived at 1A and entered the room with everyone staring at them. "𝗵𝗲, why did you bring a child to school? It is very irresponsible of 𝗧𝗏𝗍 was cut off by Himiko, smashing his head into the desk, knocking him out. "Oh my god, she's so adorable," squealed Toru as she looked at Eri, who was still hiding. "That's enough, class," said Aizawa, walking in and ignoring the fact that Ito was unconscious. "This little girl is under protection of 𝗵𝗲 and will be looked after by him while an investigation is being held." Sir, what kind of investigation would that be?" asked Momo, raising her hand. "As of this moment, I'm not allowed to disclose that for safety reasons," said Aizawa. Izuku sat at his desk and put Eri down in a spare chair with a small desk for her, but she quickly left it and sat in his lap. He smiled and patted her head, which made a warm feeling enter her heart. Chako, Himiko, Momo, Shoka, and Mina, who saw this, awed at the sight of this. "Anyways, I have an announcement for all of you," said Aizawa, getting the class's attention. "We shall be heading to the USJ after lunch for special rescue training, and I expect you to do your best." After that, he began class and was teaching them rescue techniques and what to look out for while saving civilians. While he was doing that, Izuku reached into his backpack and pulled out a coloring book All Might bought for Eri and handed her it. "Here you go, Eri, this will help entertain you during class," whispered Izuku. Eri looked at the paper and colored pencils confused, then looked up at him. What do I do with this? Izuku felt a part of his heart break from that, showing that she was never taken care of. You take these pencils and color in within the lines, and you can use any color you want, said Izuku. Eri nodded, not understanding, but opened the book and saw a cat on it and grabbed a red-colored pencil that was the same shade of Izuku's red hair. She then started to color it in and was soon lost in her own little world, which made Izuku happy. As the day continued on, they went through all classes until the lunch bell rang and everyone got up to get lunch. Izuku scooped Eri up and carried her to the cafeteria with his friends following him, and when he arrived, Katsuki tapped his shoulder. You go and sit down, I'll grab your and her lunch, said Katsuki, who then walked off before he could respond. He simply chuckled at his friend and walked off to find an empty table and sat down with Eri right next to him, who opened the coloring book. What do why you think? Said Eri, worried that she messed up the drawing and she'd be punished. It's appealing, Eri, said Izuku, smiling as he looked at the cat she colored in. One thing he noticed was that it had the same color pattern as his hair and its eyes were the same as his as well. Ara, really? Asked Eri, shocked she was being praised. It's really pretty, Eri, I'm proud of you, said Izuku as he rubbed her head, making that warm feeling come back to her. You two are so adorable, said Himiko, sitting next to him with Ochako sitting on the other side next to Eri. Izuku simply chuckled before 2 trays were put in front of him from Katsuki, who sat down in front of him and started to eat his lunch. Thank you, Kaken, said Izuku as he handed Eri her lunch, which was the same as Izuku's, which was katsudon. No problem, said Katsuki. As they started to eat, 4 more people joined them, which were Momo, Shoka, Kirishima, and Mina, who took the rest of the seats. Shimura, said Shoka, is she your secret love child? Izuku spit out his tea and started to cough really strong at hearing that. I asked if she was your secret love child, said Shoka with a blank stare. Eri, is he your father? No, I'm her guardian as of right now and will be taking care of her for the time being, said Izuku while still coughing. Eri was about to ask Izuku what a father is when they heard a scream. Izu! Yelled Mei, jumping on him from behind and rubbing her face on his. I missed you. Everyone watched as Mei kept rubbing her face against his like a cat that hasn't seen its owner in days, and some of the girls were getting jealous. During this, Eri got scared with all the new people, so she climbed into Izuku's lap for safety and Mei sat where she once was. Oh, sorry about scaring ya. I'm Mei, by the way, she simply said while smiling. Eri quietly whispered her name and hid in Izuku's blazer, hoping no one would see her. So, Mei, did you finally decide to eat? Asked Izuku before she grabbed his chopsticks and ate some of his food. My mom messaged Nezu and told me I had to eat or I'll be banned till the sports festivals, said Mei. So, 𝗵𝗃, what's your relationship with Shimura? Asked Momo quietly. Oh, we're gonna get married and have lots of babies. So let's get started on that baby making, Izuku, said Mei, making Izuku squawk. Katsuki was slamming his fist on the table for how strong he was laughing and seeing the looks of jealousy from the other girls. Before anyone could do anything else, the sound of her alarm went off and everyone was panicking, and Izuku quickly wrapped his arms around Eri to keep her safe. What the fudge is going on? Yelled Katsuki. A level 3 alarm, it means someone has broken into the building, said an older student as he ran off. Izuku looked at everyone that was panicking and saw that his friends were starting to get pushed around and almost trampled in the panic. He quickly activated his quirk and flew up to the ceiling and saw out the window it was the press. Damn it, I gotta calm everyone down, thought Izuku before he flew off to a door where everyone was running to in the panic. Eri, cover your ears. Eri covered her ears and closed her eyes, scared for her life because of everything that was going on. Quiet! Screamed Izuku as he flared his flames and made the entire cafeteria freeze from it. Yurue students, is this really how all of you should be acting? Besides, look outside, it's just the media. Everyone looked out and saw that it was indeed the media and felt stupid for panicking about this. Now all of you go back to your classes in a calm, orderly fashion, said Izuku as he watched the students do that. After most left, he landed on the ground and was met by his friends who were thanking him. Alright, I have 2 announcements, said Aizawa looking at his class. The first one is that you'll have to choose a class president and a vice president. Also thank you 𝗬𝗵𝗲 for calming down all those children panicking even though they are UA students and should know better, said Izuku. Izuku-sensei, how should we decide who's president and vice president? Yelled Ida, making Jiro cover her ears. I don't care, just get it done in 5 minutes because we are leaving for the USJ in that time, said Izuku. In that case I suggest we all vote for who we think is best. Yelled Ida, annoying the class some more. Dude, shut up, there's no reason for you to be screaming all the time, said Jiro angrily because her ears were starting to hurt. Well, since we'll be voting, let's do a paper vote then, said Momo with everyone nodding. A couple minutes later, Izuku was standing in front of the class with Momo next to him. Izuku had 11 while Momo had 3. Wait, why was I picked? Said Izuku, confused. Damn it, I was hoping I'd be president, not him, thought Ida. Dude, you showed us you're the strongest and a natural leader by taking control of the situation during lunch. When everyone is panicking, why wouldn't we choose you? Said Kirishima. Everyone started to nod in agreement and Izuku could only sigh. Alright, well, I promise to do my best, said Izuku. Alright, now let's get going, said Izuku, pushing a button on a remote and the wall opens up revealing the suitcases. If you want, grab your hero costumes or you can just wear your gym outfit. Class 1A was now outside and saw their bus out front. Izuku-sensei, will All Might be joining us? Asked Izuku, walking up to him while holding Eri, who was hugging him tightly. And mesmerized by his flames he had activated and that they weren't hurting her. Yes, but from what I heard he's running late, said Izuku as he saw the class heading to them. Izuku saw his class walking over and they were all talking happily before Izuku got their attention. Alright, that's enough, said Izuku. Everyone board the bus. All the students started to walk to the bus, but Ida protested. We should all order the bus in a orderly fashion and dash. Ida, shut up, said Izuku, not wanting to deal with it. It's gonna be that or I'll strap you to the roof of the bus. He immediately shut up after that and nodded his head. They all got on their buses and sat down in any free seats they wanted. Izuku sat down in one of the bench-type seats and Ochako and Himiko sat on either side of him. Across from him was Mina, Tsu, and Kirishima. Himiko pretended to be tired and leaned on Izuku's shoulder as if she was taking a nap, and Izuku blushed slightly but calmed down. 𝗵𝗵𝗲, I'm very blunt and speak my opinion, said Tsu, looking at him. Your quirk seems similar to 𝗳𝗍𝗏. Izuku did a spit take. I can guarantee you I'm not in any related to 𝗳𝗍𝗏. Indeed, I can guarantee he is not from my father's gene pool, said Shoka in the back. She was very thankful he wasn't, or it'd make her crush on him feel weird. Deku, said Eri quietly, what are we doing? We are going to the USJ to train so we can all be heroes, said Izuku. Eri looked up at him confused, but you're my hero. Everyone awed at that and Izuku slammed his head into the window to stop himself from having a cuteness heart attack. Alright, we are all here, said Izuku as he got off the bus and everyone followed him off. Class 1A were now standing in front of a massive dome that had the space hero 13 in front of it. Hello everyone, I'm 13 and I'm gonna be helping you learn to rescue people in natural and unnatural disasters, she said happily. Oh my god, it's 13, 𝗬𝗵𝗲 𝗧𝗑, squealed Ochako while having stars in her eyes. Hee, so you like 13? Asked Momo, walking over to her, and Ochako nodding excitedly. 13 where's All Might? Whispered Izuku quietly. He was called to Kyushu because of an emergency but said he'll be here as soon as he can, whispered 13. Izuku nodded his head and went back to the class. Alright everyone, we are here to teach you rescue training, so be on your best behavior. They all went inside the building and when they did, both classes were amazed by everything that was inside the building. Class, you will learn to save people in unforeseen situations and natural hazards, said Izuku before Kirishima interrupted. Cool, you even have fake villains, said Kirishima, pointing to a purple portal. No, those are real villains, yelled Izuku as he grabbed his goggles. 13, get the students out of here. Before anyone could protest, he jumped off the steps towards the villains. Kaminari, contact the school, yelled 13. I can't, I think they are blocking our signal, said Denki desperately. Alright everyone, let's get out of here now, yelled 13 as her and the students started to run, but the black fog appeared in front of them. I'm sorry, but I can't allow that, said Kurojiri before he opened a portal and up half of the class. Izuku, yelled 𝗵𝗃𝗃, 𝗧𝗏𝗃, 𝗵𝗃, and 𝗃𝗃 as they saw a portal open under him before others opened under them as well. Izuku held Eri tightly as he fell, and he looked down and saw water under him and quickly created his wings and flew above it, while also having flames come from his feet to stop his descent faster. He looked around and finally realized the situation. "Don't worry, Eri, I'll protect you." Eri nodded her head and held on to him tighter, thinking that this was her fault they were being attacked.